Gosh, I look that scary. Naweza sinduma kidogo.
Mwalimu, can I go home? I am not feeling well and my temperature is hot.
It serves you right for your Angol Uchoyo, who is laughing now.
Maybe Fala was right, eh? Working as a team saves the day.
This is not a negotiation thing or forum, okay? Bring those papers now!
Nakuuliza, wewe wakati ulikucha hapo ulipata ni nani amekongwa?
Wewe ukisema nilipeni niende.
Na sasa nikikongwa pilipili ambaye inakuchoma inakuhusu nani? Hiyo parapara wewe uko unaiona vizuri na ndio sababu uko na macho ine. Na ndio ukatoka kwa kando kunikonga na nilikuwa kwa pedestrian.
Makosa ulifanya. Ni kujigongeza kwa futi mblinji. Ati kwa sababu umeona jamani masini alafu iko spindi. Ukajigongeza na unajuanga tu jamani masini vile siko. Wewe ni mjinga wa wapi? Si ungeenda mahali kuko express.
Sasa mimi na wewe nani mjinga?
Ni wewe.
Tell you for a fact that being the 4th day of September 2024, a lot of things happen behind the scenes.
Yes.
A lot of things happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, I do.
It's always fun starting the show at exactly 6:30 every single day. Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Victor Olo and this is KBC Channel 1. How are you doing? Now, later on, today being the Wednesday, it's a viewpoint and I'll be talking to Dr. Busire Richard, who is a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. He's also acquired a new title, Ambassador. He'll be joining me later on. Wilson Sosion, former NAT Secretary General and former nominated Member of Parliament, will be on set, as well as Peter Rero, who is Member of Parliament of Kibra constituency. Today we want to take a look at the Kenyan relationship with other nations. The president is in China. We understand that he already acquired some of the deals with other jurisdictions as China. The Rironi Mau Summit Road is now something that we can look at. There's some signs, a bit of some white smoke, not yet white smoke, but something is coming up. All right, Regina will tell us that later on in business, because I know it's also related to business. We'll take a look at that. But Vivian, we came straight on set.
Yeah.
How was it?
We walked in just like we're supposed to.
Right.
A very good morning to each and every one of you who is tuned in on the show. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, a bit chilly outside, but we got you right here on Good Morning Kenya with information. We'll be letting you know everything that is happening in the country. From the newspaper review, if I may just let you know what's on the headlines of the newspapers that I have. We have the Standard, and the headline is on more projects, more debt. This is on the president's visit to China. We have the Star with inside Kalonzo's 2027 strategy to beat Ruto. And on the front page of the Daily Nation, we have teachers reject back to work deal. I am sure you have gotten to get a wind on some of these stories, and right here on Good Morning Kenya we'll be getting deeper into it, specifically Victor and his panel, so you want to stay tuned for that. Mike, good morning.
Good morning to you, Vivian, and I'd like the energy with which we start, and even before we come on here, the energy behind the scenes is usually positive, and that sets the tone for how we are going to run the program. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migu, and today we are going to look at matters to do with retirement. We're going to look at how Kenyans can retire dignified. So that conversation will be happening later on in the program, and I'll be hosting Lazarus Kaizi, who is a Deputy Director, Research, Strategy and Planning at Retirement Benefits Authority. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning to you, team. Indeed, if we talk about energy, it's all here.
Some years back, we used to refer to the breakfast show to be conducted by those who work the graveyard shift. But yes, we are here, so it means we are typically morning persons. I don't know about you on a personal capacity. Do you prefer, I'm asking Vivian, Victor, and Mike, do you prefer working in the morning or in the evening? Very briefly.
All right, I'll go first.
Yes.
I'm a night person mainly, but duty called.
Duty
and
called.
I had to answer. So nowadays, I'm a morning person. In
Victor?
some way.
Victor?
Morning walks. Morning walks.
Morning walks.
Yes.
Mike?
I've always been a morning person. Yes.
Well, and this is, okay, even our producer is shouting, yes, Atayeye. That is Ben Kamuti, is also a morning person. Well, there's something beautiful about mornings, and it is said that, you know, the cause of the day is actually determined by the zest in which you approach every dawn. So good morning once again. This is Good Morning Kenya, and you are on the right platform to get information on what is happening locally, regionally, and internationally. I'm Regina Manyara. We have a quick update on what is happening in Israel, where Netanyahu is finding himself in a thick place, so to speak, as Israelis gather en masse protest after the killings of some what are they called, hostages at Gaza. Then the Israelis are calling for a deal between Hamas and Israel in as far as the Gaza Strip is concerned. We have that and so much more, so do keep it right here. So we start off back local, where at least 13 people lost their lives and 3 others sustained critical injuries following a grisly accident involving a matatu and a trailer at Pangala in Kisumu Ndogo area along the Londiani Muhoroni Road Tuesday afternoon. Here is Ben Chumba with the details.
Eyewitnesses say the trailer traveling towards Londiani lost control and veered off its lane, colliding head-on with the matatu, which was heading to Kisumu. The impact leaving 13 matatu passengers, including the driver, dead on the spot.
Hii gari ilikuwa natoka huku na Nissan ilikuwa natoka huku saidi ya Moroni, ilikuwa inaenda Kisumu. Nikasikia lori imekuja na nguvu. Sasa hii Nissan, dereva mwenye alikuwa anaendesha Nissan akasema, "Guy, huyu mwenye lori anataka kutua aje." Deka kidogo nimeona hii lori imefinya Nissan chini. Mama mwingine akalia akaliwoi, huyu mtu anatua aje, tunapeleka watoto shule.
Tulikuwa nafuata hiyo lori ilikuwa inakuja na mbio sana. Sasa hiyo lori alikuwa anajaribu kuepa hizo mashimo. Na kumbe alisha lose control. And kama huyo alikuwa amekula miraa.
3 survivors, a child and 2 adults, were seriously injured and are receiving medical care at Muhoroni Sub-County Hospital. The driver of the trailer who survived the crash fled the scene immediately and remains at large.
Chenye tunaomba bumps kwa hii barabara. Hapa hakuna bumps na hilo malori zinatoka huku juu ikikuja na mbio sana zikiteremka huku chini. Tunaumia sana. Sasa sisi hata kama wenye wanapita hapa ama wenye watu wa magari ndogo ndogo.
This accident has actually been something that we have always been witnessing along this highway, and we want to appeal the government of Kenya today henceforth kwamba hii njia hii irekebishwe. Tumesikia inawekwa budget kila wakati na tumekuwa tukishangaa.
The bodies of the deceased have been moved to St. Vincent Mission Hospital mortuary in Muhoroni, awaiting identification by their families. Authorities have since cleared the wreckage from the scene, towing both vehicles to Kapsitet Police Station for further examination. A search for the trailer driver is currently underway as investigations into the cause of the accident continue.
Wow. You can imagine that particular PSV vehicle was ferrying 14, and now the driver of that trailer is missing. So if you have any information that may lead to his arrest, I think he needs to answer to his actions that led to the loss of 13 lives. Those who survived that grisly accident are actually, I don't know, out of the 13, only one is missing. So quite a loss there. So maybe bumps may be one of the ways to try and regulate, or rather stem, the number of accidents that have been reported in that particular black spot. It's quite something when you think that that was a vehicle that was on the road ferrying people from one place to another. And due to negligence and oversight of the drivers, then we've lost 13 people. That is it. May their souls rest in peace. Now, still on not savory matters, so to speak, is that police in Makueni County are conducting an investigation following the grim discovery of 2 decomposing bodies in a rented house in Bangladeshi Street. Now, the bodies, identified as those of a man and a woman, were found after neighbors reported a foul odor emanating from the residence, prompting them to alert the police. And elsewhere, a Form 3 female student at Kiptobit, a mixed-day secondary school, is nursing serious head and hand injuries after she was allegedly attacked by her boyfriend. Here's Irene Mchuma Odim with that particular roundup.
After 4 days of the couple's absence, residents of Bangladeshi in Wote grew increasingly concerned about a foul smell coming from the woman's room. Upon gaining entry, police found the woman's body lying face down on a chair bearing multiple stab wounds. The man's body was found hanging from the ceiling, raising questions about the circumstances surrounding their deaths. Neighbors, however, said the couple have had a rocky relationship.
Walikuwa wanakaa pamoja, lakini kila mtu alikuwa na nyumba yake. Na walikuwa wanasumbuana kila wakati. Juu mama alikuwa anafanya kazi ya nyumba, alikuwa anaenda na anarudi. Lakini mzee alikuwa anafanya tu kuhaso.
Nilikuja kwa plot na niliwapata tukikaa nikaona wanakosana.
Saturday walikuwa wanakorofishana, hata tukasikia watoto wakipiga mlango. Alikuwa anachapa huyo mama. Sasa kuenda kuangalia tukapata hata ni issue yenye hata haifai. Wakaanza kuita kiateka apate waunganishe.
The bodies have been moved to Makueni Referral Hospital morgue as investigations continue.
Sasa kama watu wamekosana, waende kwa mzee wa kijiji ama waende kwa pastor, wapatiwe counseling.
Now, away from depressing matters, a comment has been made here that news quite can be depressing. Well, as I say, our role is to inform you, and we do not choose. We are not indiscriminate. Whatever is news, we bring it to you in real time and in a factual manner. Now, Kenya has formally joined the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank after it ratified the ascension by President William Ruto at the bank's headquarters in Beijing, China. Now, President Ruto says the move will enable Kenya access concessional financing for key development programs, climate change efforts, as well as connectivity and technology-enabled projects.
Hello. Thank you. I came early. Thank you. Yes.
President William Ruto held a meeting with the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank President and Board of Directors Chairman. At the meeting, President Ruto highlighted Kenya's commitment to fund infrastructure projects and improve the welfare of Kenyans. The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank has $100 billion worth of seed capital, with the bank targeting to direct 50% approval to climate financing-related projects by 2025. Earlier, President Ruto held a meeting with his host Xi Jinping, which focused on how to enhance access of Kenyan agricultural produce to the Chinese market.
It is also an important opportunity for Kenya-China Comprehensive Partnership Agreement, a strategic partnership that is based on a people-to-people engagement framed on programs that are mutually beneficial between our two countries.
On infrastructure, the two countries agreed to extend the standard gauge railway from Naivasha to Uganda, Rwanda, DR Congo, and Congo-Brazzaville that will connect the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. President Ruto says the dualling of Rironi-Mau Summit Malaba Highway is crucial in easing travel of goods and passengers to Western Kenya and eventually to the region.
I want to thank you for the conclusion of the program on Kenya's rural roads, the intelligence transport system that has now been concluded, and the progress that has been made on our technical vocational equipment program, Boster Dam, the Nairobi Northern Bypass, and the Muthaiga Kiambu bypass programs that have already, we've made very good progress, and hopefully we should be able to conclude.
And in the dailies, where you're going to get some of the details, this is the header: more projects and more debt. Now, AIB is a multilateral development institution with around 109 members and 100 billion shillings capitalization. The president says that Kenya is looking forward for engagements. Among the projects that were discussed in this particular meeting includes the dualling of the Rironi-Mau Summit Malaba Road. This particular deal was actually with France. But now with that particular development and a deal in China, it means that China has taken that deal from France there. And there's a question as we are having these conversations on projects that need, funding, what does this mean to the country's debt burden? As you ponder on that, this is a conversation that is likely to continue taking shape as we speak matters of politics with Victor's panel this morning, so you can be part of this conversation. What do you think about the latest deal from China? As you're working on responding to us, maybe you're asking how, where, well, you can get us on X at KBC Channel 1. Now, to the courts, is that the High Court has ordered the Acting Inspector General of Police, Gilbert Masengeli, to appear in court personally on Thursday this week, after he failed to appear Tuesday in a virtual morning session and afternoon in a physical court. Now, while issuing the orders, Justice Lawrence Mugambi said Kenya is a country governed by the rule of law and not by the mightiness of status quo. Now, as Ruth Wamboi reports, Masengeli has been summoned to answer to the habeas corpus of the 3 Kitengela missing persons and a contempt of court.
In what appeared to be a cat-and-mouse games Tuesday, in a mention for habeas corpus of 3 Kitengela missing persons, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Gilbert Masengeli, was missing in action during the morning virtual session. The court was informed by his counsel that he would appear physically in the afternoon, though he was a no-show.
And for that reason, my lord, that's why we are seeking for 24 hours, so that we can put in a reply affidavit. We'll bring to you this documentation so you can interrogate it.
The Law Society of Kenya, led by its president Faith Odhiambo, and the petitioners' counsels urged the court to issue a warrant of arrest against him, citing he had also violated the court order to produce the 2 missing brothers and an activist, Bob Njagi, in court.
If they want to come and treat us here to stories, who can tell the story of Bob? They have not been brought. Who can tell the story of the 2 brothers?
No, we're not here because of the reply of where the petitioners were abducted from. We are here because of the contempt orders for the first respondent.
Judge Mugambi has ruled that he appears on 5th September before the court's teeth can bite.
It will not watch at its authority, and the constitutionalism is slowly being whittled away. Those that deliberately ignore or disobey court orders must be ready for the consequences, and for the violation of the Constitution, even greater consequences.
With the families of the 3 missing persons crying out on their whereabouts since 19th of August this year, the Inspector General of Police will have to appear in person on Thursday this week to explain why he has been disobeying court orders. And a magistrate court has freed activist Boniface Mwangi and 4 others accused of publishing false information, unlawful assembly, and creating disturbance on 26 July.
These 5 persons, they were exercising the right to demonstrate. It is important that that right is respected and that right is not undermined.
Milimani's trial magistrate Gilbert Chikwe declined the prosecution prayers, citing they did not convince the court that they needed 2 more weeks to complete their probe in an exercise that has taken 37 days.
This issue of this application that was dated 26 July, I am fructus on the application since I have declined the extension. So consequently, the respondents are hereby discharged and the cash bill should be refunded to the depositors.
Elsewhere, the family of a former employee of Treasury, Evans Chirchir, was shocked after it came to court to apply for habeas corpus, only to learn that their kin was at a Machakos morgue.
There were issues related to threats to life of Evans Chirchir. And the question that takes our attention is, were the issues related and surrounding the tendering process related or linked to the death of Evans Chirchir? Those are the issues that we want the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to unravel.
This is to inform the press and the entire nation that this is an urgent matter that needs to be investigated and expedited.
Ruth Wamboy for Good Morning Kenya.
Now, from the courts is that Performing and Audiovisual Rights Society of Kenya wants the Music Copyright Society of Kenya probed over the alleged misappropriation of 56 million shillings meant for artists. Now, speaking in Nairobi, the organization led by its board chair, that is Owado Owaiga, also sought a formal clarification from the Kenya Copyright Board on the presence of other collective management organizations purportedly collecting royalties beyond those affiliated to the Performing and Audiovisual Rights Society of Kenya. Here's Tilio Marco with the details.
Reports that some 56 million shillings meant for artists had been misappropriated at the Music Copyright Society of Kenya has attracted the wrath of the Performing and Audiovisual Rights Society of Kenya. The organization, led by its board chair Eduardo Waigwa, wants the Director of Criminal Investigations to promptly investigate the claims.
52 million is supposed to be distributed to our musicians. And I challenge even the DCI, because ever since it's been 2 weeks, I've not had anybody, any arrest, or we've not had any follow-up of that. Well, our young men and our artists are actually suffering, and here we are reporting that 52 million is lost. So I'm requesting the chairman to come out clean right now and let the investigation, start with immediate effect.
The organization has also urged the Kenya Copyright Board to deal with other collective management organizations purportedly collecting royalties beyond those allocated to them.
Kitambo kulikuwa na tutaweza waita wakora. Wanaenda wanaokota pesa wakijifanya hao wako kwa CMO.
In light of the recent development, we as Melta would like to request formal clarification from the Copyright Board, that is Kikopo, Chairman, regarding the presence of other collective management organizations, CMOs, that are purportedly collecting royalty beyond those affiliated with publics. We believe that such clarity is essential to ensure that all stakeholders, including our members, are well informed and comply with the legal appointed CMO for regulatory requirements.
It also invited stakeholders, including artists, content creators and government agencies, to hold constructive talks aimed at ensuring artists are fully compensated for their work.
To money matters now. An underwriting facility has been established to mitigate the risk associated with early-stage geothermal energy exploitation. Now supported by East African insurers and independent power producers, a $2 million facility aims to de-risk investments in renewable energy by covering the significant upfront costs and the risk of drilling geothermal wells that may improve commercial viability.
Kenya possesses an estimated 10,000 megawatts of geothermal potential, but the country has barely tapped into this resource, with only about 950 megawatts currently installed. As Kenya strives to achieve 100% clean energy by 2030, With geothermal energy playing a central role, early stage risks and high upfront costs associated with geothermal drilling have deterred many investors.
Past what we have the capacity to cover above the ground risks, the installations, the EAR, and also all other associated coverages. That has been de-risked for a long time. The gap has been what coverage to give below the ground during the exploration.
In response, the Ministry of Energy and Industrialization, the Insurance Regulatory Authority, FSD Africa, and East African insurers have launched a geothermal risk underwriting facility. This initiative aims to mitigate financial risks, thereby facilitating the early stage development of geothermal energy projects in Kenya. This facility is designed to empower local insurers to develop insurance products that attract investment into the region's geothermal energy sector.
We need around $600 billion to actually get to net zero and energy transition and meet our current energy gap.
We'll be able to attract more investors into this area, and they're most likely going to put in funds to explore this particular type of energy.
Now, the United Kingdom has reduced its checks and inspection fees for some Kenyan horticultural produce in efforts to boost exports. Now, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya says in the spirit of reciprocity, Kenya is reducing the import duty of whiskey from the United Kingdom from 35% to 25%. Here's Benson Rioba with the details.
Kenya exported vegetables and fruits worth 20.3 billion shillings in the months of January, February and March this year to the United Kingdom, which was an increase of 1.5% as compared to the same period in 2023. Kenya is optimistic that horticulture exports will increase for the rest of this year after the UK reduced the inspection rate of some produce from 10% to 5%.
You receive goods or products from another country, you have to subject them to inspection, which had been pegged to 10%, now is 5%.
Snow peas joins Kenya cut flower as produce with less checks in the UK market after Kenya increased its pesticide surveillance on horticulture destined for key markets.
Flowers which are exported from Kenya to Britain but going through the EU, and there was a 10% tariff applied to that, where we've now brought that down for a 2-year period at least to zero.
Flowers is zero. I think the 10% is snow peas, which now has gone back down to 5%.
UK investors have pledged to build a 1.3 billion shillings macadamia and cashew nuts processing facility in Lamu to boost exports and create jobs.
Equity Group is working with various institutions to support farmers, boost agricultural production, enhance access to markets, as well as technology and financial services. This is part of the lender's sustainability drive at the Equity Group, that the Equity Group Managing Director, Dr. James Mwangi, says has impacted so far 3.8 million MSMEs, small-scale farmers, and supported 292,000 micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises along the agriculture value chain.
Have led us now to have an integrated approach, not a silo approach. And when you have an integrated approach, it becomes easy to work together. We are aligning our thoughts, our actions, and in the process, we are becoming a great force for change. Equity is doing its part. If you do your part, then the aggregate of our initiatives will be able to change the world.
Accordingly, therefore, corporate sustainability should become the norm and play a greater and more systematic role in contributing to the attainment of wealth creation, social justice, and climate mitigation. As such, transnational corporations such as Equity Group have indeed a unique opportunity and somehow a duty.
That effectively puts a cap on matters in the headlines. Be sure to visit our website, that is www.co.ke. Yes, there. And also we are going to be sampling your tweets on X at KBC Channel 1. Now, as we take a break, we'll also be just sampling what you think about the various topics that have been captured by the dailies. Do not go away.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Ever crazy. Undoubtedly entertaining and mind-boggling. We are doomed. We are doomed. Members of Parliament, we are doomed. I'm telling you. The savage netizens capturing that unique moment.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
All right, welcome back. Good morning. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. It's now 4 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. Welcome back. And thank you, Regina, for the news bulletin. Now it's time for us to take a look at what we have on the front page of our local newspapers. And just before that, we get into a substantive discussion today. My guests are already in the studio. I'll be introducing them shortly. And this is what have on the front page of the local daily. I have Daily Nation and the Standard newspaper. Let me start with the front page of the Daily Nation. Front page of the Daily Nation, I have teachers reject back to work deal. Teachers reject back to work deal. This is because of a bit of some misunderstanding between amongst themselves. That is after the Teachers Service Commission and KUPPET signed a deal and agreed on a return to work formula. And now, this is in education. Officials accused of ending strike without the approval of union's top organ. Officials accused of ending strike without the approval of union's top organ. And now tutors across the country have expressed outrage at the calling off of their strike on Monday evening, saying that they got a raw deal in the agreement that their union struck with the TSC, that is a Teacher Service Commission. They now want KUPPET, national officials who made the decision to step down. That is a story on the front page of the Daily Nation. They now want the KUPPET officials, national officials who made the decision to step down. Here we have it. That is some of the branch officials across the country who rejected the deal. What is Raila up to in China? That is again on the front page of this Daily Nation. What is Raila up to in China? Odinga to give a keynote address on infrastructure at the China-Africa Summit. That is what we have it. There is a photo which went viral. Actually, we also played it right here yesterday on air when they arrived aboard a KQ flight with President William Ruto in China. This is there is a 6 billion shillings windfall for IEBC and City Hall lawyers. Dozens of law firms will get 6.2 billion shillings for legal services offered to the Electoral Commission. And the Nairobi County Government, IEBC, owes 11 law firms at least 1 billion shillings for services, including defending it in 2022 presidential poll petition. 6.2 billion shillings. That is what I have here on the front page of the Daily Nation. Okay. All right. So on the front page of the Daily Nation, we have, again, my guests are in the studio. My camera just went. It found itself. That's how it happens. All right. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, good morning,
Good
Victor.
to see you.
Yeah. I see you too.
It's a cold morning. Nobody saw that happening.
Very cold.
Let me start with Wilson Sossion, former NAT Secretary General and former nominated Member of Parliament in studio. And I had a very hard time yesterday, Dr. I must admit, we were trying to struggle. How do I phrase your title this time around? Dr. Ambassador, Mwalimu, we struggled a bit. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Dr. Richard Bosire. He's an ambassador right now, after quite some time. Welcome back
Thank
home.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Victor.
How was it away from us?
It was good.
Okay.
Representing the country abroad is an honor, great honor.
Asante.
And we did a good job for the country.
Great.
And we're back.
You'll tell us more about that. And we have got Mwalimu also. By the way, all of them are teachers, interestingly. All of them are teachers. So today I'm in class 101. I know I'm going to pay my school fees. Who's going to make it?
You will pay. Nothing for free.
Nothing for free, clearly. Mwalimu Fitorero, representing the great people of Kibra. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you so much.
So who is going to pick my school fees?
Don't worry. We'll instruct you.
Okay.
There will be a bazaar to do that.
Or a pay bill.
I know. Pay bill. No, now we go online. Let me start with Fitorero, Mwalimu. Let me start with you. Teachers reject back to work deal. Under 1 minute, if you can. We saw it. The teachers went on strike for a whole week, and on the fall of dusk on Sunday, teachers were instructed to go back to work, and now there is that back to work kind of an issue with the union officials. 1 minute.
I think for the last 2 weeks, we have had a very crazy environment within our teaching fraternity. Basically, having been a teacher, but also I was a member of KUPPET, one of the founder members of KUPPET.
Yes.
I served at the National Executive Council for KUPPET. And they represent the interests of the teachers. And the teachers were saying that there was no money for their promotion, the CBA, they were not factored in the budgetary allocation for the teachers. And it has taken a lot of time, many years for the teachers to be promoted from one grade to the other. And the health deal for the teachers, you realize that the cover for the teachers, the health cover for the teachers, they were talking about the good hospitals that they're supposed to go to.
Yeah.
And I think they had genuine concerns and reasons to go for that strike. But again, the Teachers Service Commission put their case forward that they had not been allocated that amount of money to meet the requirements of the teachers. But after a short while, I think the Treasury gave commitments or promissory notes or gave the TSCs a certain amount of money so that some of their demands could be met. But looking at it now, I have seen from yesterday that certain branches are saying that the decision by the Secretary General to call off the strike was not a unified decision. The National Executive Council, I think, did not sit down to agree on the decision by either the Secretary General or something. I think this is why some of the branches are saying that the deal, the return to work formula, was not endorsed by the Executive Council for the COPET Union. I have no evidential background to say that this was the case because I was not part of that deal. But I think as a teacher, the teachers deserve more in this country. I think the teachers have not been treated well. They are the basic. Everybody here passes through the hands of teachers.
Absolutely.
And they have not been remunerated well in this country. And this is where I also stand with them, that teachers must be remunerated well in this country so that they can carry out their duties effectively in a more professional manner. They handle the kids, all our kids are handled by the teachers. So we must give a good criteria for remunerating the teachers and their promotions and also taking care of their health care. I think as a government, it is high time that teachers are given what they deserve so that they can also pass knowledge, skill, and attitudes to our kids, to our students in a more professional manner. I think as we move on, we need to look at the interests of these teachers more. A country is built on the knowledge passed to students. You cannot grow a country where we do not pass knowledge in a more professional manner.
Absolutely.
And I think the teachers deserve. I am also lucky that we have the former Union Secretary for NAT here. He will tell you that he used to bargain for the teachers. I am a beneficiary of his bargaining, and now we are here together. There was one time that we were on strike because of him calling the strike. So that strike is the last resort for teachers to use. It is the last tool that the unionists use to bargain after all the avenues has been blocked. So I think this strike is not just because the teachers wanted, but they have used all the other avenues, and the only one remaining when they give notice for this strike, and the agreement had been deposited, the court, High Court, and also the Parliamentary Service, the PSC. I think they were within the presence of their rights to carry on with this kind of strike. And I think they must be listened to. And now that they have signed a deal to go to work formula, it is upon the teachers to see really that whether they have gotten the right deal or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. Daktari, allow me to, you have been also in this space. Absolutely, actually all of you have been in this space to fight for the teachers' rights in the past. And I'm glad that all of you are bringing your brilliant heads together so that we can crack this and see where the problem is. You are in WASU years ago, and the issue of teachers' remuneration, the university lecturers also having problems year in, year out. What is this one thing about CBAs that are never honored?
Thank you, Victor. Just as Mheshimiwa said, the problem, I think, in our country is the raw premium that we give to the teaching profession. Whether we're talking about university teaching, or whether we're talking about school, primary, secondary, and all that. Even from the teachers who handle the little kids in ECD, we have not provided sufficient commitment to developing, to improving the teacher so that we can also improve the quality of our education. And we have not put sufficient resources, sufficient thought to it. So my thinking is that at the moment, I think teachers are being pushed, whether at the university, whether at schools. We have seen it, and it has been said here. It's on the newspapers. Technical University, as we speak today, they issued a strike notice on Monday, and their strike is on, basically fighting for their CBA's implementation, also even just basically getting their full pay at the end of the month. Egerton University has been on 65%, 70% salary for a while, for a long time. How do you pay a teacher, and you expect the teachers to deliver? So for our country, I say generally, for our country to provide good education, to provide quality education, the teacher must be at the center of it through good pay, through refresher training, through increasing of numbers so that you can reduce workload. And these are actually global standards, the United Nations standards, implemented by UNESCO, that every child should access quality education. And for that matter, the teacher is seen as the center of all this, beyond other things, reducing, perhaps providing infrastructure.
Yeah.
But basically, the teacher is at the center. And if you don't motivate teachers to work, our education, the future of our education in this country is in danger.
Absolutely. Mwalimu Susion, you still insist that TSC is the problem?
Absolutely. The biggest problem and the elephant in the room is TSC. But before I talk about that, it's important to underscore that teachers are central and fundamental in the delivery of quality education. And teachers must be properly recruited in terms of numbers. They must be adequately remunerated and properly supported so that we can deliver. And looking at the struggle of the teachers of Kenya, they've made a very good case in the past, and they've succeeded in mounting delivery of quality education in Kenya. If you look at it, the indicators, the global competitiveness, the ranking of countries in terms of quality and access in Africa, Kenya has been number one for a long time. It was until the last 10 years.
Yeah.
When the management changed at the Teacher Service Commission and a new culture of managing teachers through imperial methods and introducing policies that are anti-teachers and anti-teaching, then we've witnessed the decline in global competitiveness. Now, Kenya, we are number 7 in Africa, and that is not good news for those of us who are in leadership, those of us who are in academia, those of us who have worked internationally. Those are bad indicators, coupled with other policies like a curriculum that nobody understands, that even the same teachers are implementing a curriculum they don't understand. But with this industrial action that we have here, the buck stops squarely at the Teachers Service Commission. For the last 10 years, many things changed at TSC. TSC is not the TSC that teachers fought for. It has become an eyesore and a pain to the teachers of Kenya. And it is a den of corruption. For you to be promoted, you must pay 150,000. And there's a whole cartel dealing with that. For you to be employed as a P1, you pay 350,000.
Is that factual?
It's factual. For you to be employed as a graduate teacher, you must pay 500,000. And you look at where this employment forms. We no longer see competitive advertisement and what we call equal opportunity employment at the Teacher Service Commission. It's not there anymore. Those are facts. And if you do a call-in and you monitor Kenyans, you'll be surprised with this data. And the issues that teachers raised when they went on strike were about 5. Number 1 was the CBA, which the president sorted out by releasing 13 billion. The other one was conversion of intern teachers, which of course that has also been sorted out. And then third parties, medical cover. But what took center stage is the promotion of teachers. And promotion is the biggest priority, more than salary rise, because when you're promoted to a new grade, you have a leap in salaries, you have a leap in allowances, and what TSC did was to introduce policies called career progression guidelines, which were not approved by Parliament, and Mheshimiwa Orero here knows. For a teacher to be promoted, you are governed under the Code of Regulations for Teachers, which indeed is a document that's approved by Parliament.
Yes.
But TSC sneaked in career progression guidelines that eliminates automatic promotion after teaching for a long time, that eliminates automatic promotion on merit, that eliminates recognition of new qualification, and you can only be interviewed competitively. And through this competitive interview process, it is where this 150,000 and shopping is done. It is true. You check out with teachers for them to be promoted. And for me, other than teachers calling off the strike, as we have seen, the question is, are they happy?
That is a question.
Are they motivated? Are they ready to go to class? They are not.
Allow me to
That's a fact.
Allow me to use your question and direct it to Mheshimiwa Orero. Are they happy? You said that you are a founding member of KUPPET. Are the teachers happy?
Sincerely, the teachers are not happy. As you can see all over the papers, that teachers in this country must be motivated. Teachers in this country must be taken care of. The career progression guidelines, I think, is also one of the contentious issues that were raised by the teachers, because you will be grouped, like a teacher who has graduated now can be grouped with somebody who has been there for 10 years and has not moved to the next grade. Or a teacher who has taught for many years can also be grouped with the graduates that they taught. So you will realize that teachers have genuine concern about this career progression guidelines. Calling off of this strike should not have been spontaneous. The teachers should have been informed of why and how they are going to benefit from the complaints that they raised. And I think my colleague has just said those areas of concern, the employment, the JSS, the promotion, the CBA, the healthcare. And incidentally, when I was a teacher, I never used the health facilities for teachers. I think God was generous to me. I think I never fell sick during that time. But when you go to the hospital, the teachers have nightmares. They can stay in a hospital for 24 hours before they are treated, because they need consent from the service providers. 3 weeks ago, one of the teachers called me to intervene. She had gone to the Nairobi Women's Hospital the previous day. She had been admitted. But the next day at 10:30, she had not been treated because the healthcare provider had not given a go-ahead. I had to seek help from the Secretary General for KUPPET to talk to this. So teachers must be given a healthcare that they can be treated instantly when they go to the hospital. And what kind of hospitals do they go to? They are given certain hospitals like clinics, dispensaries. They need to go to the hospital that any of us can go to. Sickness is not limited to anybody. We must be treated equally as Kenyans, because these are some of the rights of a Kenyan citizen, that we must access a quality health care. That is some of the rights of people. And teachers particularly, this is the biggest workforce that we have in this country. They take care of our children, and if they are not given a proper health care, I think this country must relook at some of the fundamental issues with the teachers. So the teachers must be made happy. And I think we need a conversation on this about the teaching fraternity. They are complaining that their leadership is not giving proper guidelines. I don't know how, but they are
not given a proper guideline from where?
They are not giving the teachers a proper guideline. Because they are saying that the calling off of the strike did not involve the opinion of various sectors in the leadership. That is the National Executive Committee. I don't know how far that is true, but it should be absurd that such kind of decision can be unilaterally made by individuals, as they are saying. So the teaching fraternity, we must look at how we make the teachers happy. How do we do this? Can we give them proper remuneration? Can we give them proper environment for teaching? Can we give the teachers the CBA that they require? Can we give them good health care? Can we see how teachers can be progressively promoted well without any undue influence? Because these teachers are the backbone of the economy of this country.
Yeah.
Because this is where we acquire skills, knowledge, and attitude. These are the hands, the teachers or education, as we always say, will equalize everybody. And I think we must, as a Kenyan, as a nation, retrace where we backtracked, retrace where we fell off from this unitary goal of making sure that the teachers are remunerated well. And if this is done, then when the teachers are happy, I always say when teachers are happy, everybody will be happy.
Will be happy.
Yeah.
You know, gentlemen, the good thing is that all of you have that solid background about classroom and, you know, the background about the union and everything that, you know, entails about the teachers' rights and all that. But look at it like this, Dr. You talked about UNESCO. You represented Kenya in the UNESCO. How are we ranking, and how is UNESCO viewing Kenya from that optical view in terms of education? Mwalimu Sosion said that we are not doing pretty fine. And when we see such, the motivation that that teacher, deep down in somewhere in Kachiliba, somewhere in the northern part of this country, or even here in Nairobi, I mean, the problem is the same. And we talk about this thing year in, year out.
Thank you, Victor. At the global level, I would say Kenya does fairly well, although there is that decline within the African continent. But there are indicators that UNESCO uses because it gives out how to develop. In fact, the world had a Transforming Education Summit in September 2022 in New York, and in that summit, the address by the Secretary General, Gutierrez, was very, very clear. In fact, it even mentioned clearly what should be done to our teachers.
Globally?
Globally. The document is there. The book is out there. And you read it, you feel Kenya should just implement what is there. Workload, remuneration, training. The same issue Mheshimiwa Sosion mentioned about recruitment. How do you recruit your teachers? Yeah, so that we can now enhance our the quality of education globally. Kenya does well, I would say. Another parameter, one of the main parameters UNESCO looks at is the 20% of the national budget is supposed to go to education. But Kenya has gone beyond that. We do 25, I think about 25 or thereabout.
28.
28? Yeah, we are about 28. I would have said 27. And that is a good indicator for Kenya. But the question is, how are these funds channeled? Yeah? And to benefit the education sector? It's a huge budget. It's a huge budget. Almost $700 billion, shillings. That's a lot of money. But how much is lost in the process? And where do we inject the resources? Do we inject it to where it matters most? Motivating teachers, improving their remuneration. Imagine a teacher receiving an increment of 1,000 shillings. 1,000 shillings. And it doesn't escape tax. It's put in there, pay as you earn, again gets out of there.
Let's take a break.
Thank you.
Let's take a break. We are examining the education sector. I have got brilliant minds in studio. All of them are teachers in their own right. I'm going to pay a school fee at the end of it, I promise. Stay with us.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth reggae vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunongwa. Hadija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
As the 2024 Paralympic Games continue, Team Kenya has represented the country with a contingent of 14 para-athletes and 7 guides, featuring in 5 disciplines: athletics, cycling, taekwondo, rowing, and powerlifting, battling for glory with the world's best. Catch the daily highlights on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
All right, welcome back. So today we are examining the education sector generally. The whole discussion we've had here, I remember way back, we all had holiday association, and we are still having holidays in the education sector. Daktari, you were making a submission. You are talking about something to do with the money, the 28, 27. Mm-hmm. Continue with that.
Yes. What I said, Victor, is what we do not understand. Kenya has done well from the global stage. But then when you come home in our house, Kenya, we don't know how this money is spent. Why is it not creating the impact we expect? Why are we always letting the teacher struggle on their own? Parents struggling on their own, paying huge sums of fees to students, which has now escalated to university level. And that actually affects universal access to quality education. It's supposed to be access to quality education by all. Make it an equal opportunity country or education sector. That is it's lacking. Another important point that is looked at from the global perspective is the teacher-student ratio. We know that our teacher-student ratio is very high, too high. It could be lower than some other countries. I don't want to mention, maybe I could mention like Niger, a country like Niger. But we are comparing Kenya with one of the lowest ranking in education. What has happened to our school feeding programs to enable equal access to education so that all students, kids are able to go to school, so that hunger does not prevent our children from going to school. That is also another measure. All this brought together, we're saying Kenya is looked at as a leader in this, But when we come back in the country, we must ask ourselves these hard questions. Why should our teachers be on the street to demand implementation of CBA that was signed and agreed upon by government? Why, for example, should do we get money to promote policemen after they have done some dirty work on the streets against the Gen Z, and they have done poorly with our security, declare we are giving them 40-50% increase, but teachers are not looked at in the same way. So meaning that actually we are destroying our future generations. We are here because we went to school. I went to school not because my parents were able to do that, but because it was free primary education. Because, again, we could go to school, pay to do mama mboga. My mother was doing, I'm a single mother, I'm brought up by a single mother. My dad passed away when I was in class 5. How did I get here? It's because there was free primary education, and there was compassion even from the owners of schools, even private school where I went to allow us to be able to study and to become what we are.
Yeah.
At the university level, everyone was treated equally. Whether you are poor or rich, you can remember, Mheshimiwa Session, that you get your allowance, your boom, we used to call it boom. You are housed, you don't worry about housing, you don't worry about food. Yours is to study, whether you are rich or poor. And there is no student, Victor. Why should we categorize our students as rich and poor? Students have no income. They are poor. All of them are at the same level. They are students. Let us provide equal opportunity. Let us not group them into various categories.
I'll come back to that because it revolves around the education funding, the university funding. And Mheshimiwa, there is that proposal to consolidate this. And is it NGCDF to make
bursaries?
Bursaries.
Yes.
Bursaries, and consolidate it as one fund so that we can have education for free. That is a proposal that has been floated along some of these corridors. But Mheshimiwa Sossion, what are some of these legal and policy issues that we are still grappling with as a nation, year in, year out, that is making the education sector, quote unquote, not to do so well?
A fact for sure is that globally, education is becoming a new frontier of business that has been valued at over $10 trillion. And being a new frontier of business, then cartels are coming in, very vicious one. And if we don't watch out, our education system here in Kenya could have slipped actually absolutely into the hands of cartel. That's why you are seeing all these confusing policies which are meant to disrupt the common order of education management. The new changing curriculum aimed carelessly without proper engagement, the funding model that will make people to pay. You bastardize public universities, and then you end up promoting private universities. You end up also glorifying private schools, because if CBC fails, then eventually we will in public schools. It's not taking off in public schools. Then it will glorify private schools. So that's the general view. But before we get into that, I wanted to conclude the aspect of teachers so that we can close that chapter. And Orero has said teachers are not happy, members of KUPPET are not happy because of the manner and procedure in which the strike was called off. And that is poor industrial relations. And you could see some dictation and intimidation from the employer, which is not right. I have been in that space for long, and it is important when you secure a return to work agreement with the employer, make sure it is ratified by the organs of the union. And if we reach that situation where that is not done, then we leave teachers who are bitter to go and handle our children. That is not right. And generally, if we talk about the teacher management in the country, it has also slipped into the hands of cartels. And when a big profession of that magnitude, that is supposed to be an equal opportunity employer, and an employer that is free from corruption, and that which teachers struggled through the Constitution of Kenya 2010 to give it independent status. The independent status is not imperial powers of commissioners and the CEO. The independent status is professional freedom of the teachers, and the teachers themselves must live fulfilled. And I would say, because of the nature and demeanor of the Teacher Service Commission, I've personally recommended that there has to be a thorough forensic audit conducted by the Auditor General. We are talking about the funds, what is it doing? Conducted by the DCI, conducted by the EACC, and the forensic audit on 4 areas. Number 1, employment of teachers, and how have teachers been employed for the last 5 years? That must be accounted. How do you explain teachers who graduated in 2010 not being employed, and the teachers who graduated in 2023 are getting into the payroll through unfair means? We are violating UNESCO recommendations, because we must ensure that there is equity and equal opportunities for those intending to join the teaching service. Number 2, how promotions are being conducted. If you are using illegal means, illegal tools, for example, the career progression guidelines is not approved by Parliament, so they are illegal, and they were declared so by the Employment and Labour Relations Code.
Is that true?
Yes. Check Kenya Law Reform Commission. Check the ruling of Byram Ongaya of 12th of July 2019 in the matter of Kenya National Union of Teachers versus TSC on the same. And Byram said TSC is not Parliament to make laws and implement them. So career progression guidelines are illegal, which have disenfranchised teachers. And that was the big drive of Kupet strike the last couple of days. And that explains why they are bitter. And there is need to audit how promotions have been conducted for the last 5 years. There is also need to audit forensically how the third-party deductions are executed and remitted. There is need to forensically audit the policies also. If those policies are illegal, they should be thrown out. And those who bear the greatest responsibility, the commissioners and the CEO, must bear responsibility. So it is not just a matter of telling teachers, go back to class. Since they're not on strike, we assume things are normal. Their hearts could be on strike.
That's called because, when you were in school, you had so many teachers.
And therefore, Victor,
before I forget,
as we are talking about, there is no strike, teachers have gone back to class. The big question is, are they really happy? And are they committed? And are they ready to give their best and to give their hearts to their children? I've been in that space for long. And any time, even when we ended strikes, we ended on a high note with good negotiations, good return to work agreement, and good plan on how to recover and how to conduct teaching. And very often, because we secured favorable deals with government and we communicated clearly to teachers, they ended up teaching very well, and teachers have been very motivated. I can say generally the problem of TSC and teachers in this country is how they have been managed for the last 10 years, and it is getting worse, and this has to be handled.
The motivation, I understand all of you. The key word here is motivation. And motivation, there is just so many things that you pointed out, the career progression, this remuneration, and etc., etc. When you look at it, Mheshimiwa Orero, you are in that space, and you are mandated to employ some of them, get new teachers on board, and some of them were under BOM. Allow me to ask you this question. When you look at the career progression, and Mheshimiwa Association says some teachers have never been employed, some finished in 2010, until now, they're still out there under BOM. And when there was a salary increment, it was between 1,000 and 30,000 shillings, depending on the job group. Let me ask you, when you see a teacher getting from the staff room going to teach 60, 70 students, what do you really think runs through the mind of that teacher?
I think one of the issues in this country is about the teacher-student ratio. It means that the teacher-student ratio, when you get to a class of 70, one, you are not able to deliver effectively because of the numbers. And effective delivery is How do we assess that you have delivered effectively? One is through formative assessment or summative assessment. There are also instant assessments. So because of the great number of students in a class, a teacher might not be able to deliver effectively. Meaning that this country, we must have a way of employing the teachers so that we make the teacher-student ratio to be in conformity with the UN and UNESCO standards. And I think the tools that we use to employ teachers, when I was there, we had a lot of the number of years that somebody has taken out after graduation, and maybe the grades that you had. Some of those tools should be reviewed regularly before any employment. But I think the money that we are supposed to use for employment should be ring-fenced in any government that we have, on any existing government. Like now, the current government promised to employ 46,000 teachers as permanent and pensionable. We need this to be operationalized. We need the government that when they promise to employ teachers, they need to meet their side of the bargain. At the moment, we require about 120,000 teachers so that we can bridge the gap of this teacher-student ratio.
Yes.
And I think we need to put budgetary allocation. I am in education committee. We had to put budgetary allocation for the employment. But later on we realized some of these budgetary allocations were removed. I don't know by who, by budget committee or by the treasury, without the input of the education committee, because we are alive to the fact that this country requires more teachers than ever before. We have JSS. In my constituency, you will find that class 8, maybe they have only 3 teachers. These 3 teachers are forced to teach about 12 subjects. You are trained to teach history, but now they want you to teach physics. It is not attainable. It is not acceptable. It means that the kind of CBC, the kind of curriculum that we have now in public institutions, we are destroying the future of this country, the future of our kids in this country. If we cannot employ JSS teachers currently, and they are almost joining the senior secondary, it means that they will be half-baked. When we compare the public schools and the private schools, the public schools were on strike, the private schools were going on. When you look at the curriculum implementation in private schools, go to McKinney, go to these schools, they have the laboratories, they have the facilities.
Well equipped.
Well equipped. It means that it is a skewed process that is favoring only the people with the means in this country. The poor kids will not be taken care of in public institutions. So what are we going to do? I had always had an opinion that grade 9 should have been domiciled maybe in a senior school, secondary school. My reasoning was because already they have the facilities, they have the labs, they have the teachers, and we have teachers who are specialized. They can teach history, geography, different types of teachers. But if we want to force this in primary, it is now domiciled in primary. One, we have not structured the management of these teachers. The JSS teachers are answerable to the head teachers of the primary. It is not attainable. We need to structure. How do we manage the teachers in JSS?
Do we have some of the proposals from the Education Committee of Parliament?
Yeah, of course we have. So I'm saying, what I'm saying here, I've always said it in the Education Committee. It is not out of space. It is what I have said many times, that we need to have carried a proper public participation on the implementation of this curriculum. Like now, the teachers who are graduating, they are not aligned to the requirement of the curriculum within the JSS because they have not trained to teach JSS. We are giving a raw deal to our kids in JSS. It is either we conform or we obliterate, we remove this curriculum completely. Because we cannot have a country where the delivery is not measurable. We cannot deliver, the teachers cannot deliver. So I blame those who brought in this curriculum without a proper planning.
Yeah.
We need to plan to change a curriculum. If by now we do not have enough classroom for grade 9 in the whole of this country, we are trying to run around to put classes for grade 9. I am sure, I am certain, 100% that 70% of public primary schools do not have laboratories as we speak now. How are we going to create the pathways that this school will offer sciences, this school will offer social sciences, and this one will offer co-curricular activities? These pathways, up to now, we do not know which schools will offer these pathways. We have not aligned the minds of our kids in grade 8 on the kind of pathways that this CBC is meant to take. So as a country, what are we doing as a country? It means that this curriculum is almost a big flop. I can say this with certainty, that the JSS in public schools, as we are talking, kids are not learning. Because some have only 2 teachers, some have 3 teachers. How do they learn? So we are not delivering the curriculum, the services that the teachers are supposed to deliver.
You have a big responsibility. I take it back to you as Education Committee of Parliament. Because what you're saying, some of these are grave concerns. Grave concerns. And you'd imagine a school without a pipette or a burette or name it, the infrastructure.
Why I feel so emotional about this, I am a science teacher. I am a chemistry teacher. I know what it means not to have a lab in the school. Because even class 8, they're supposed to, when you look at the syllabus they are handling in chemistry, they are handling from 2 work. From 2 work, they are doing periodic table. How do they understand the periodic table? They don't have a lab.
Okay, take a breather. Dr. I mean, look at whatever is happening is huge. I mean, take it away.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Mheshimiwa said about the new curriculum. My take would be perhaps we cannot walk back. The option is, can we improve it? Can we invest heavily to provide those laboratories, train teachers properly? This is not rocket science. We know what is supposed to be done. Why can't we invest, the Ministry of Education, invest heavily in this? Because we are playing with the future of our country. You know, education is really the core. And we look at the technology world, they're based on STEM education. And we're moving towards STEM education. That is what the world is moving towards, STEM education, so that we can have sufficient trained, skilled people through the TVETs, through universities, through colleges and all that, to be able to manage our future. If we're industrializing as Africa, that is our aim. The Africa we want. That's the aim. That's where we're going. If we are not preparing ourselves towards that through education, what are we really doing? There must be special attention paid to CBC and enhancing the implementation of curriculum. Have the teachers well trained, equip the schools. Otherwise, we are cheating ourselves. We will come out with students who are good in theory, but cannot help us to spearhead the industrial revolution in Africa. Another point I wanted to mention related to the training. We must train properly so that the teachers have the skills to work within the new environment, the AI environment. The rest of the world has gone into the technology, sophisticated technology. Are we training our teachers in that way? This is important. And I wanted to mention this, as this is a statistic I have, that 50% of teachers are retiring in Europe. 50%. They are 50 years plus old in the profession. They retire at 60. So in the next 10 years, Europe cannot replace their teachers. What am I trying to say? Is it hope for our teachers to find employment outside the country, or is doom for our country because there will be really serious brain drain.
Yeah.
We shall experience serious brain drain, which will actually affect education in our country. Some of these things, TSC must be aware, Ministry of Education must be aware. We must be prepared for this future. In fact, it is going to happen. So we need to prepare ourselves, train our teachers properly, remunerate them well, find a formula to retain our teachers in our schools. Otherwise, we lose it. I used to ask students in the class, my son's class, how many would like to become teachers? Out of 40 students, 1 or 2 say they would like to become teachers. The teaching profession is becoming so unattractive.
And way back in the days, it was one of the most
teachers, I used to want to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But you see, it's because of the way we treat our teachers. How do we remunerate them? Do we even give them the respect? In fact, the international, the summit itself I mentioned about, Transforming Education Summit, the issue of respect for teachers is very critical. It's one of the areas that we must work on, so that the teacher regain professional respect, so that they can deliver properly to our students.
Okay. So, Sion, I want to take a break, but before that, you'll take us on a break. Look, the space is still there for an improvement. And, Mheshimiwa Orero, I will come back to you later on and explain to us, you know, the Education Committee, I repeat, you have a lot of work to do in as far as this is concerned, because that's where laws are made, recommendations are made, and then you can enact them. But, Mheshimiwa Sosion, the education sector is never that good profession that everybody, you heard that is a home of Mwalimu so-and-so, that is a home of Mwalimu so-and-so. Right now, people are running away from education as a profession.
It is how we choose to dignify teaching, and not just teaching, how we value education.
Right.
We've talked about Korea and the STEM pathways and the Asian tigers. If I can pick on Korea, for example, because I was in Korea in 2015, 57% of the parents would like their children to be teachers. 57%.
57.
Yes. And UNESCO talks of we must make teaching the first profession. The first in the sense that the top students should choose teaching above all other professions. In Korea, the topmost students in school exams choose teaching over law, over medicine, and over engineering.
And over journalism.
Yes, and that tells you why it has one of the best education systems, STEM education system, a very thorough one. And that explains why it has industrialized. So you must link industrial revolution. If we are talking about artificial intelligence, we must get the best teachers to do it. And therefore, teaching must attract the best. You train the best, attract the best, recruit the best, and retain the best so that you can transform the country. As Kenya, we were on that trajectory, but I think we are beginning to lose lose direction. And we now run a sector without planning and without proper leadership. And you see, if you don't plan education, there is nothing you can execute that works. It is not going to work. And as I said, things to do with business interest. And of course, when money is put, when you look at Kenya, for example, is putting at least 6% of the GDP in education, at least 28% of its overall budget. It is meeting the UNESCO standards. The accountability structures of how this money is used, Orero was a principal, and he can agree, the audit systems has collapsed in that ministry. There's no audit. It's not very, if you ask today for an audit report of each and every school, you'll not get. If you get an audit report on how the free education money after being disbanded has been used, you will not get. And when we come down to CBC, of course we deploy money, but without proper auditing and supervision of how the money is spent, then the money is absolutely useless. It goes into waste. Then we've also collapsed. You cannot mount an education system without a quality assurance and standards framework in place. When that one is absent,
allow me to take a break.
There is nothing you will.
It's 8 a.m. I'll come back to you on that. You'll pick it from there, because I also want to circle back. And when you talk about the policy and legal framework that can be used to improve the education sector as it is, I'm privileged I'm talking to you because all of you are in that space. What can be done? The legislative process that can be done through Parliament, Mheshimiwa, in the education sector, to change the education sector, at least to take it back to its former glory, where education was one of the most respected professions under the sun. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
I could have prepared that. Like now, I should have a plan B. Look at me now. Rules are just like the rest of you.
Useless. You nearly gave me my cordial infarction. Calm down, calm down.
And what is my cordial? What is that?
Heart attack. What the hell are you up to, woman?
Gosh, I look that scary. Naweza situma kidogo.
Mwalimu, can I go home? I am not feeling well and my temperature is odd.
It serves you right for your Angol Uchoyo, who is laughing now. Maybe Fala was right, eh? Working as a team saves the day.
This is not a negotiation thing or forum, okay? Bring those papers now!
Friday night again. Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Welcome back. Education is the equalizer. That is, there's nothing about it. Education is the equalizer. Mheshimiwa Sossion, what are your closing remarks as far as that's concerned? What are you submitting?
Yeah, on the rollout of CBC, you can't roll out a curriculum without a strong monitoring and evaluation framework, particularly a curriculum that was poorly planned, poorly implemented, and teachers are not ready. And it's very hard, the issue of training. In fact, curriculum reform should have begun at the teacher training colleges, so that then you deploy teachers who are already trained and prepared for the same. Now, where we are, the JS, it is true there's no learning because one, curriculum-based establishment has not been developed for how many teachers are required to teach JS level grade 7, 8, and 9, and what are their qualifications. It is also not clear. And so that likely when you're deploying graduate teachers who can only teach 2 teaching subjects, and there is a work, there are about 14 learning areas, and when you calculate mathematically in terms of economics, you might require another 400,000 teachers. It is going to take ages to deploy adequate teachers to teach that particular level. The Presidential Working Party report has also not been fully implemented. The domiciling of grade 7, 8, and 9 in primary schools and renaming it as comprehensive school is a good idea in terms of access. But the other aspect, the question is, who should teach and how do we recalibrate and tone down the curriculum, which was high pitch, so that it is delivered effectively at that level. According to me, the upgraded P1 teachers with diploma qualification would adequately teach grade 7, 8, and 9 at a very economic level. Because why? They are trained to teach very many subjects, and that's introductory level. The JS graduate teachers who are level should be transferred to the senior secondary. And now the biggest problem that we have is the pathways. The pathways of STEM education, which you are talking about, which should take 60% of the students. The pathway of performing arts and sports, pathway of social sciences, 3 pathways. They must be in all the schools according to the curriculum design. But the question is, are they in all the schools? Are we prepared? Have we deployed enough teachers to teach the different pathways in all the schools? And have we trained? There is, of course, definitely, we are on a long funeral because of poor planning. And there will be more transitional challenges in 2026 to senior secondary than what we are witnessing now. So we brought in a curriculum that we cannot manage. And I still believe there's a lot that needs to be done. The Presidential Working Party report was well generated, but it is not properly implemented. It should be implemented so that it can fix some of these issues. Then the other big challenge that we have currently is the higher education and universities and the funding model. In my own view, the new funding model is a grand idea.
I'll come back to you on that one. I wanted Mheshimiwa Orero to start with that so that we can give you a break as well. As we come back to that, Mheshimiwa Orero, you look at it this way. As a member of parliament, I know you are grappling with so many things, you know, the bursary coming here, many phone calls, universities, people are going to universities, many parents are looking for funds. But let me just point blank. What is your take on the university funding model? I mean, it's as simple as that. What's your opinion?
It has failed to meet the desires of the Kenyan citizens. The good idea it was, the parameters used, the tools used, the implementation process has been very, very poor. When we look at those parameters, what has been used to determine, they have created what is called bands, band 1 to band 5. And those parameters, some of them are weighted. They are given weight according to the family unit. Like one of the greatest mistakes that this funding model is using is the type of secondary school a student went to. For example, in my constituency, our extra county schools are supposed maybe to take 40% of the students from the constituency. That is how they pick the Form 1s. So a school like Moi Girls would pick 40% from Kibra sub-county. It means that those students are from the informal sector. And when they join Moi Girls, now this funding model will use that if a student lands in Moi Girls, automatically they will place them maybe in band 4, and some get to band 5. They would argue that they have used the KRA, the NSF, we are saying that also whether you are from a single mother or you have how many kids in a family, the size of the family, how many are you.
The entire family background profile is put there.
Yes. When I go to the informal sector like Kibra constituency, and yesterday I was listening to the PS and everybody else talking about the funding model. Somebody living in Kibra has never even seen what a wealth declaration form is. And they were saying that the KRA could give them the background of people in Kibra. 80% do not even know the color of the form of wealth declaration form because they do not have that wealth. And you find the information I have on my desk that most of our students from our informal sectors have been placed in band 4 and 5. How are they going to survive It means that this funding model, the means testing instrument, from my own assessment, is going to benefit the universities more than it is going to benefit the students. Yet it is called student-centered model.
You can repeat that.
I will, having been a teacher, that this funding model is going to benefit the universities more than it is going to benefit the students. I listened to some of the vice chancellors saying that in the last 1 or 2 years, they look like they are going to recover from the economic doldrums that they have been facing. What I am picking from them is that now this funding model is meant to make the universities to operate on their own entity without funding from the government. And where is this going to leave the parents in this country? It means that this country is going to create a culture where the poor will never, one, do the most competitive courses, irrespective of the level of their intelligence. Most students will not manage to be in the medicine class.
Because of their family background.
Because of their family background.
Okay.
Medicine will cost maybe 612,000 shillings annually. And when you look at the cost per year for these students who are from poor family and poor background, it will be almost impossible for any student from a poor background to do such kind of course. We need to take cognizance to the fact that Kenya as a nation, we are bringing in a model that does not respect our constitution about the right to education. How many students since last year have fallen out of the university because of lack of fees? Last week, I was in Kisumu, but I came back to Nairobi to meet certain vice chancellors about this funding model. I can tell you there are some vice chancellors who have models that if they are listened to, then can sort out this funding model without putting our kids into bands.
Your recommendation to this?
My recommendation to this is that the Ministry of Higher Education must reconsider how to improve this banding. We are able, like now I have done a lot of research, I have talked to many vice chancellors, I have talked to people who are the implementers of DUC, differentiated units cost, those who brought up this system. Because initially, the government used to give university funding based on nothing. They did not look at the payrolls of the lecturers. They do not they never looked at the cost of the units. So this money was just given to the universities before the DUC. So they were just using it. But I think the World Bank came up that they must have the payroll, the cost of each unit. The Ministry of Education and the higher education must sit and relook at this model and make it that all students should have a minimum pay. Like if you say, let them pay 25,000. Then we look at this, how we can improve this model. They must listen.
The proposal to have bursaries scrapped and put in one basket.
I think we want to operate on utopia in this country. We have tried this before. We must look at, like if it is NGCDF, people say NGCDF are not doing well, or the governor, or if it is put in one basket. It depends on the leadership. I can tell you. If we have good leadership and we say that this money will go directly to benefit the students and we have free education, who are we to refuse? But will that money go directly to the students? That is the question.
Allow me to come to Sosion. There's a reason why I'm skipping Dr. What's your take on this, Mheshimiwa?
The funding model is a good idea because it's going to target the economic needs of the various households. But how it is being handled is completely wrong. I don't agree absolutely. One, if you are making a major policy shift from, say, DUC to
MTI,
to MTI, to the new funding model, the MTI, then you must do what you call stakeholder participation, public participation. It's a requirement of Article 10 of the Constitution. This is the second year that the new funding model that is student-based, capitated, is being executed with the 5 levels of banding. And when you look at the MTI that was done last year, it was more friendly. And the MTI that has been used this year, the MTI process is wrong. That is why it is giving us wrong data. It is placing children of mates, because somebody has said, I work as a house guard, then is rated as a worker and is placed in band 5. The children of watchmen in band 5. You know, I looked at this data and it scared me, and I was forced to check actually with HELP. And HELP told me that the tool being used this year is not a tool of HELP. The MTI tool of HELP has been in existence for 29 years. It was applied last year. The tool that was applied, which is causing a lot of problems, is an amended one. It's a foreign one. It wasn't the correct one. And that is why you can see the banding in the number of students in band 1 is about 10,000 with the new tool.
And when
you apply the old tool,
when you hear this coming from an insider,
when you apply the old tool, I'm not just an insider. I speak facts the way they are.
You're not just an insider.
I'm constant. Okay. I'm constant with facts, and I'm tested. and I'm tested. I'm not talking about a political grouping. I'm talking about education for all the children of the Republic.
He's an insider of education. That's what we are talking about.
So when the old MTI was applied, then the number in band 1 went double to 21,000. Now, why are we playing with Kenyans with a model that you've not appraised the stakeholders very clearly? So I would recommend this way. 1, take it through internal stakeholders within the higher education. That is university student leadership, the lecturers. Don't leave it to the vice chancellors alone to be the ones designing and setting even fees level, to the extent that the cost of education in public universities is higher than those in private universities. That cannot be explained. That is not how we are going to run education. Education is a public good, and everybody must be listened to. It cannot be a few people developing it and imposing it. It will backfire. It will not work. And this is going to exclude very many students, Therefore, the whole process must be taken through a proper public participation, not just at higher education, but once the tool is agreed and understood by everyone, then it should be domiciled in career desk at the school level.
What if it's
so that the school career master is not only guiding students on choices of careers, it's also guiding on funding and how they can access all this type of funding. When I hear the PSI education saying, no, we are sending these students to go to the chiefs, the best place to send these students is the schools where they studied, the previous schools. That is where they are guided. I don't think we are doing, there is proper leadership around this MTI tool and around this funding model. The idea is grand. The president has pushed it very well. He has put money in higher education, but the way it's being implemented,
that is part of your recommendation.
I hope the indicators are very, yes, that's part of my recommendation. The other bit is that we should be improving university transition at every year. Right now we are doing 19%. And the strategic plan of 2012-2018, it was supposed to raise it to above 15%. But when we brought in so many stringent examination regulation and other things, it dropped to 10%. If we enhance university transition to around 40%, Orero can tell you 50% of candidature of KCSE can competently go through university training successfully. And a country that enhances transition does better. The US, for example, transition is at 65% to universities. Why are we suppressing our own children in Kenya? And that is why there is room now to allow the self-sponsored program students. And if we have self-sponsored program students across the universities, it is going to solve the quagmire of shortage of funds, so that then this funding and sponsorship of those who are admitted through COOPs can all can all occupy band 1, band 2, and not more than band 3.
Thank you.
It is possible for us to get this solution.
You're active in that space. You're active in that space. And when you listen to these two gentlemen, their sentiments clearly resonates with what Mona Inchi is talking about. But you're in that space and you are seeing what students and parents are going through at the university in under 2 minutes. If you can, allow me.
Thank you, Victor. I would like to ask a question. The model in whose interests? Mheshimiwa Susion has responded to that question. It doesn't help the student. Actually, it kind of punishes, if I may use, the parent or the student, and rewards a system that is running away from fully funding university.
Do you support it? Do you support it?
I don't support it.
Great.
Yeah. One thing is, in fact, this is in public domain. 48%, yeah, 48,000, not percent, 48,000 of qualified students, C+ and above, did not apply to join university. Resonates with what Mheshimiwa Susion was saying. We are reducing the number of those transitioning from high school to university because basically it is being made unaffordable. The model is making...
It's not 48, it's 74,000 students 2 months ago. Yeah.
74. Yeah, it's increasing actually. It's increasing. Initially it was 48,000.
Yes.
Now it has gone to 74, as Mheshimiwa says. So this is a danger to access to university education. And who are those who are dropping out? Is the poor. The poor are not going to access. At the same time, the vice chancellors are dancing around and saying
deferring their studies.
That
Academically,
they might, in fact, even if they defer, they might never go back if the system is maintained. So my proposal is, I would recommend, for me, is to actually do away with this system. It doesn't help. Government should find resources. And I suggest that if this system does not equalize access to education, then government should give loans and treat students equally, regardless of their social background, socioeconomic background, as it was even before DUC. Let them construct hostels. Now we have money for affordable housing. Why can't we build hostels around universities across the country and house our own children? It's public money to help to solve a problem so that decent housing is provided for students, not to go and live in some ramshack somewhere and the student cannot even be able to read in places, dingy places and insecurity, places where they have to cook it for themselves. I think, and I strongly recommend, that accommodation should be given without any conditions. Government should invest in hostels heavily or have the PPP and then improve the facilities, pay university workers 100% from exchequer and do away with this system.
There's something I've picked from all of you, is that the education funding, university funding model is meant to benefit the universities more and punish parents. I think that's what I've picked. And from your recommendations, all your recommendations are valid. I just hope somebody listened. I don't know who listened, but I just hope someone listened somewhere. You know what happened? Today, I'm not going to call you Eshimiwas. I'm calling you teachers. That is how it is today on this set. But because of that, you're all Eshimiwas, honorable members. That cannot be, I cannot run away from that. Mheshimiwa Susion, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Daktari, Ambassador, Richard Busire, let me just put that. You have another title altogether. Dr. Busire was here with us some times back, but he disappeared. I don't know whether you learned French.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to because there are French nationalists who want everyone else to learn French.
Did you market Kenya
they don't want
to the
learn
UNESCO?
Kiswahili.
Did you market Kenya to the UNESCO pretty fine?
Marketing?
Yes.
Top. In fact, perhaps the toppest scoring ambassador in UNESCO. You can check.
What is our image?
I won all our elections last year in November. Kenya's candidates, all of them.
Okay.
And I thought we were going to discuss about
Raila
Odinga's
candidate. I wanted to ask him about AUC chairman.
Go ahead.
Chairmanship. How is France with Kenya? Are they going to support? Are they supporting our candidate as AU chairman?
You know, let me say this. Let me say this without any fear of contradiction.
Yes.
International relations are about interests. So France will support whoever they support on the basis of their own interests.
Who? Baba?
I don't want to say Baba because Djibouti is a close friend of France. Kenya is a close friend of France. But I would say recently, I heard yesterday that the road from Rironi through
to Mau Summit
through Malaba is going to be done by China.
By the Chinese. Yeah, that is
the knowledge I had before was that even since during Uhuru government was that France was going to do it.
Yeah.
So some of those interests will play in the voting.
No, but don't try to paint a picture of optimism. I'm convinced.
But it will work.
That has got nothing to do with many of those.
It will
but
work.
I think the AU chair of Africa is of greater interest to African themselves, not the former colonial master. Because we are talking about strengthening intra-Africa trade. We are talking about opening, having a borderless continent where people can move freely.
Yes.
We are talking about having our own currency, strengthening agenda, fast-tracking Agenda 2063. And I think the candidature of Raila Odinga sells across board. And so really, if we look at linguistics, the Anglophones, the Francophones, the Arabic, and all that, it doesn't apply in this case.
So
Victor,
I would urge the ambassador.
I am a specialist. I am a scholar in international relations. Mwalimu, I'll give chemistry. He can teach chemistry. Let me also teach international relations. I will tell you that these small things matter. Even just trust.
Gentlemen,
something like trust.
I just want to say, you know me, I'm the politician here now. I must say, you know my audience, the Kibra constituency, must always know that I represent them. I must say hi to them.
Say hi. Yeah. Otherwise, you know where stone come from. You know, missiles and all that. Go ahead. On a light note,
I want to say that as educationists, the government must take more interest in education system within this country. This funding model. Yesterday I watched the secretary, higher education, engaging with the JKU art students and other lecturers, and the vice chancellor, the chairman of vice chancellor was there. And the students were expressing disappointments on the implementation of this funding model. I want them to relook at this model and how the bands are determined, and the parameters that are used, how they are weighted, and the effectiveness of these tools. And with that, they can come up with a more proactive, a more acceptable model across the board. And know that education is an equalizer, irrespective of the background. And we must say that those who are above 18, we must not continue burdening their parents. They must be treated equally to access education in this country.
Mheshimiwa Peter Rero, a great debater. I always enjoy your debate. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Peter Rero, great people of Kibra, he was here on the show. So mkimpigia simu na Jashika, he was here. Talking to Kenyans. Asante sana Mheshimiwa for coming. Dr. Richard Bosire, thank you so much. He's an ambassador right now. He represented Kenya pretty fine in UNESCO, that is based in France. Daktari, thank you so much. And when he came back, I'm the first person he called. Although I'm back. He didn't call me while you were in France. No. He doesn't want like that.
He didn't call me.
No. He didn't. You changed your number. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. My name is Victor Lowe. We are taking a break. Good Morning Kenya continues after this. Good morning. Bye-bye.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed. We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. Now from politics, we talk about matters retirement. We're talking about dignified retirement for Kenyans, for Kenyan workers. Do you save for retirement? What are your plans for your future? Joining me for this conversation is Lazarus Casey, who is Director, Research, Strategy and Planning Directorate at the Retirement Benefits Authority. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
And also in studio, there's James Ratemo, who is Head of Corporate Communication at RBA. Welcome, gentlemen.
Asante sana.
Now, let me start with you, Director. Matters saving for the future are very serious. But the first thing I would want you to tell the audience, what is the mandate of Retirement Benefits Authority?
Thank you very much. Our mandate as the Retirement Benefits Authority starts where the first one is regulating and supervising the establishment of retirement benefit schemes in Kenya. The second one is to promote the development of retirement, to promote the interest of members and sponsors of retirement benefit schemes in Kenya. The third one is to promote the development of the retirement benefit sector. The fourth is to advise the Minister for Finance on matters relating to retirement benefits in the country.
And the last one is to implement all government policies as relating to retirement benefits sector.
Yes. Have you implemented those policies?
Yes, we've been implementing. Just the last financial year end, 30th June 2024, we had completed the 5th strategic plan, and for 2019 to 2024.
Yes, we'll come to that later. But I also want to know from you, how do you categorize retirement benefit schemes within the country, Mr. Atemo?
Okay, generally for viewers, yes, for the interest of those who are watching, we have two basic categorization. There are those schemes which are started by employers, what we call sponsors. Employers in the context of the retirement benefits industry are called sponsors, those who establish schemes. This could be government. Government is one of the employers in this country. And we have private or in the public sector. We have parastatals. For example, KBC. KBC, it has a scheme, and so KBC is a sponsor, or KBC is an employer. So those schemes are called occupational schemes. And the members for these schemes are those members who work for that particular employer. For example, somebody maybe from RBA will not join a scheme, started for KBC workers. And somebody from KBC will not join a scheme for the Retirement Benefits Authority workers. So those are occupational schemes. But we have another category called individual pension schemes or individual pension plans, what we call, in the jargon of the pension sector, we call them IPPs, individual pension plans. So these individual pension plans are there for anyone, okay? For anyone who is earning an income can join. Even you from KBC, if you think that the money that you are saving is not sufficient, then you can also join a scheme. And of course, then we have NSF, which is a statutory scheme. This is mandatory for any worker in Kenya. And of course, there is the law, the Reserve Act 2013, demarcates, tells employers how much they have to deduct and how much they have to contribute for their employees. So those three is the major categorization. NSF is for all the workers. IPPs, it is voluntary. You have to join, you have to register and start contributing. For occupational, you must belong to that, to that scheme by virtue of you being employed there.
Yes. If you're not employed, can you opt to join NSSF?
Of course, NSF. NSF just like the IPPs. Anyone who's earning an income, you can go get a NSF number and you start contributing. So even if you stopped working and you have a membership at NSF, then you can continue contributing what we call additional voluntary contribution or voluntary contributions. So you don't need to be employed by anyone for you to be a member of NSSF. Just like you don't need to be employed for you to be a member of an IPP. So they operate the same way.
All right. Yes. Lazarus, the strategic plan for 2019 to 2024, that is a 5-year strategic plan. Yes. What were the major achievements?
Okay. We have several achievements in that strategic plan. The first one, we grew the coverage. These are people who are covered by retirement benefit schemes. They grew from 15 to 26% of the working population. The other achievement that we received was the growth in assets, the pension assets. The pension assets have grown to close to 2 trillion from 1.4 in 2019. So those are the major achievements that would reflect on as the Retirement Benefits Authority. Because all other factors will lead to growth to coverage or the assets. Yes.
That means more people got into retirement schemes given the kind of growth that you are talking about.
Yes.
Now, last week, you launched another strategic plan. And in that plan, there's something about raising over 3.2 trillion. Walk us through that process.
Thank you very much. I think the strategic plan which we launched, and I request Kenyans to read it on the RBA website, www.rba.go.ke. You will get a copy on the website. It has very good things about the sector. Yeah. Now, walking you through from what you've asked, increasing the numbers from 26 to 34, we are going to put up the strategies which are required to grow the numbers. The first one, we are going to move to the informal sector. I think in this country, informal sector are less covered in retirement benefits schemes. So we are going to move, we are going to talk to them. We are going to have programs talking about why we need to save for retirement, because retirement is not just for the working population. Yes. As you are aware, as you grow, as you work, even in the informal sector, they reach that time where your body now requires some rest. And that is the retirement we are talking about. At that time, if, for example, if you are a mechanic, it becomes very hard for you to go under the vehicle to check the engine, or even remove a tire on a vehicle. So the body really mechanisms change. After age 65, the body needs a bit of lighter duties. So that's, we are going to talk to them, even farmers, as my colleague James has indicated. We need more Kenyans to join the independent, the individual retirement benefit schemes, because that is where the future for this country. Yes. Yes. Now, in terms of growing the asset base, we are asking Kenyan workers to add additional voluntary contribution, because this money is theirs. And the fact that you are saving in a scheme, there is that economies of scale, where the money grows, the multiplier effect, the compounding effect. When you, I know most Kenyans don't like mathematics, but in simple terms, that this money will grow with the time. Yes. If you started saving even as much as little as 500 per month, at the end of the year, you'll have 6,000. Now that 6,000, maybe you save for another 20, 25 years, that money is going to grow. But the multiplier effect, this money, when invested, it will bring in returns. Those returns will also be reinvested, the money will grow. In fact, by the time you grow, you retire after 25 years, you may get money that you think it is not yours. Yes. So there's that impact on the compounding effect. Yes. Yes. So it's very, very important. Yeah. We look at that. Yes.
I also want Mr. James Ratemo to talk about why saving for retirement is important and why start now.
The first thing you have put it, why saving for retirement is important. Yes. Because one day you must retire. Yes. Whether you like it or not. Let us start. That's the best. Yeah. Whether you are strong, whether you are 25, 26, 20, whether you feel that you are so healthy, you're so powerful, you must retire whether you like it or not. And how do people retire? Yes. Age will catch up with you. Of course, the official retirement age for most Kenyan workers is 60. Of course, if you go to judges, it goes to 75. You go to, lecturers, academicians, it goes to 75. But of course, generally, according most schemes, retirement comes at 60. But of course, you can go for early retirement at 50. So from 50, you can retire. But then you cannot retire if you have nothing, you have not saved. Because when you retire, it doesn't mean that you stop eating, you stop paying rent, you stop even paying school fees, or you stop, requiring medical attention, okay? So one day you must retire. It doesn't matter what profession you are in. If you're a doctor, your eyes will fade. or your mental faculties will fail you. Or even if you are using your strength, even if you are a mechanic, my friend, you cannot open that engine, you cannot carry that engine anymore. So you must retire. So that's the reason why we have to think about retirement. And if maybe the age doesn't catch up with you, you may fall ill. You will be involved in an accident. You know, even if you are a border rider, and then you are involved in an accident, you break your leg. You know retirement has come for you. Okay? Number 3, you can even, you can even be sacked or you can lose your business. Remember COVID? Most people lost their business. Other people have never risen up again. So for them, retirement came early. Even if you're at 40, 55, maybe for you, retirement came. So imagine you have to struggle. By the time you reach 60, that's then you are struggling with the business. So somehow, everybody let us agree that one day we must retire. We will get tired and we need to maybe hand over our businesses. We need to relax. But then when we talk about now relaxing or retiring, then you still need the basic needs. So that's the reason why now, as you work, these years you are working, then keep aside something small, like the director said. As you start saving, you can save as little as 20 shillings. 20 shillings in 30 days, if your income is daily, is 600 shillings. So imagine as little as 20. Anybody who is earning an income, if you talk to them, 20 shillings, 50 shillings you can save, or 500, some can even save 1,000. So depending on how much you earn, then start saving. Then, so one of the benefits, because we know we are going to retire, and this money is going to help you when you need it most. For you look very young. You can go without lunch. Yeah. But there comes a time when the doctor says you have to eat after every 8 hours. Yes. Maybe you are diabetic. So imagine. So then now I can tell you, you can even save more than maybe Mr. Casey. He wants to relax. Yes. Depending on age. Yes. So let us. We need to plan now. Why do we start? Which is the best time to start saving for retirement? I can say, if possible, with your first paycheck. Immediately you start earning an income, please put something aside, even if it's little. As your income progresses upward, you keep on now increasing. So the benefits of saving for retirement is because we know it will take care of you in future. So it's you, the younger you today, will take care of the older you tomorrow.
And someone can have 2 retirement benefits schemes, like this one, your employer, the employer-funded retirement scheme, and your individual retirement scheme.
Yes. So you ask yourself, of course, you know how much your employer is deducting and how much you're contributing. Okay. You can even go to the provider and ask them. We even have online pension calculators. Suppose I say maybe 5,000. Let's say maybe even at it earns an interest of 10% for the next 20 years. You will see how much you are likely to receive at the end. Yeah. If you think the money is so little, then you can now increase the amount you are saving. So if you think the amount that the employer is saving for you and what you are contributing now is not enough, then you can voluntarily add. Then how do you add this? You can add now in an individual pension plan. Yeah. And why are we talking about the individual pension plan? Is because not everyone in this country is employed. So for them, what is the option? Is only the individual pension plans. Yeah. And of course, for the worker, those who are working, they have NSF and they have their occupational scheme. Okay. And there is another benefit. The government wants, to encourage people to save. Yeah. So what do? There are tax rebates you get. Up to 20,000 per month is tax-free. You don't pay tax on that 50 up to that 20,000 per month. Yes. That means up to 240,000 per year is tax exempt. Yes. That's the reason why the director was saying the money grows faster in a pension scheme as opposed to other investment vehicles. Because imagine up to 240,000 is tax exempt. Otherwise, if you are not saving, it means you are paying tax on up to 240,000, which you could have been exempted if you join a registered pension plan. Okay. So those are the benefits why people should join pension schemes, because it's their money and it will work for them.
Director wanted to add a word on that.
Thank you very much. Yes. I think the paycheck here does not only refer to somebody who is employed in an office. This paycheck It's even to Mama Mbogas, to our brothers who run matatus, these guys who are running Ubers, any business. Even those guys in Gikomba, the
people who are selling sweets.
People who are selling sweets, they can afford 20 shillings per day or 50 shillings per day. You know, the 50 shillings per day will result to 1,500 at the end of the month. At the end of the year, you will have a lot of money. And this is the money we are saying you need to save for your future. You can imagine, you've been very active selling those sweets or selling bogas, vegetables, granules, whichever business you are doing. But the little money that you are saving is going to assist you when you are not in a position. Because as you grow, elements start coming in. That is now when you start wanting to be assisted. And even the churches, even pastors in churches also, they need to save, because they are not going to be pastors forever.
Yes.
There'll come a time when they have retired. So this is the time they need to put aside some akiba for them. You know, there is a Swahili saying, akiba haiozi. It comes in at the right time. And something we need also to look at, the young generations we have now. You know, as our age, we respected our parents very much. But these youngsters we are calling Gen Zs now, you know, if you start calling them, you want assistance at the end of the month, these guys can block you. They will block you. And when they block you, you'll be depressed, stressed, with nobody else to refer to. So we need to prepare ourselves. The old age is for everybody, because it's only God who knows the end day for each human being. So by saving, you are preparing your future. You can imagine, my brother, you are in KBC,
yes,
and you are still young.
Yes.
Maybe you are driving a heavy machine. When you retire, you start going with the border. The border, it means you will disappear very fast, because you are not used to that. You are used to your heavy machine.
Yes.
So for you to maintain that lifestyle in future and have a dignified retirement, you need to start saving. And you're going to be a motivation to the youngsters.
Yeah.
They'll now start seeing you are saving, you are living well, and you'll be a point of reference. That Migvi's home is there, and Migvi worked very well.
Yes.
Migvi has put up a very good home. Migvi is living well.
Yes.
But if you become a bother to the society, you are borrowing every month, you want this, then it becomes a problem. That is why we are stressing. We need to start saving for retirement. The age should not be the limit. You may be late for some reasons, but you need to start now. So for those of us, those Kenyans who are listening to us now, I think it is a wake-up call. This is the time to begin and not wait for tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank
you. Do you think the mindset will change or is changing regarding retirement, saving for retirements?
Yeah, actually it's changing, because we are seeing the number, the coverage is increasing. You know, if we are at 26%, up from around 18% 5 years ago, then it means more people are are embracing the idea of saving. It's all about the mentality. Of course, as director said, this YOLO, you only live once, the mentality of, you know, today's gratification and not tomorrow. And that's what should change. And the reason why maybe this KBC has taken up this discussion is for us to help, you know, those who are listening, to change that mentality. You know, for, the director said, their age, you know, they could even depend on their children, you know. Hey, my son, I'm down, buy me sugar.
Yes.
But you see, today, you cannot depend on our children. Society, you know, is changing. And even those children you are depending on, maybe they are not able themselves. Some of our children will be, you know, going to Australia, Canada, US, and they are struggling. So you are left here in the country, or maybe you are left in the village and your children are in the urban centers. Do you think you can continue depending on the children? Things are changing. Those days, even your nephews, your nieces, or you as an individual could even take care of your aunties, your uncles. But today is nuclear. It even comes to individual now. You have to gratify you as an individual before you even think about even your children or even your parents. Things are getting, with this westernization, you know, these ideals are changing. So that societal, you know, that network, that fabric, which is so tight, is breaking away. So that is the reason we need to change the mindset. If you think that when you get old, you will sit and your children will take care for you, maybe you need to change. And that's why we are seeing most people are embracing this. We are seeing the coverage is increasing. Millions of young people are members of schemes. Not only occupational schemes started by sponsors or employers, but even individual pension plans. So if there are some who are still left aside, maybe because they didn't have this knowledge, we only say knowledge is power, then it's the time for them now to join the schemes. And these schemes are registered by RBA as the regulator. If you need to get to know more about these schemes, just go to the website that the director mentioned, rba.go.ke. There's a list of registered individual pension plans. We even have given you the contacts. Approach them. Say, according to me, I can pay maybe daily 30 bob, or maybe monthly 500 or 1,000. And as your money, as your income changes, then you keep on increasing. So we are seeing the there's a mindset change, and we have, you know, the reason why we are even using radio, TV, we are using social media to reach out to the Gen Zs, okay? We're having seminars, we are reaching out to employers. We are using, you know, it's multi-pronged so that we can reach everyone. And we hope that today we have reached more people, and as more people get empowered, they empower others.
Yes.
And that's how we are going to reach even to those in the grassroots.
Yes. Speaking of reaching out to people, there were sensitization programs you carried out in February. What was the impact? And are there plans to continue with these sensitization programs across the country?
Thank you very much. I think RBA, the formation of RBA is to ensure the development of the retirement benefit sector. Now, the sensitization programs are ongoing. We are reaching the informal sector. We are reaching even those who are employed but do not have a scheme. As you are aware, we have very many employers in this country. We have over 4,000 employers, but not all of them have a retirement benefit scheme. We are reaching to them, talking to them, to be mindful of their workers. You know, the most important asset the employer has is not the profitability they are making, but the human resource. That human resource is very important. It needs to be taken care of very well, both now and in future. So we are talking to them. You know, when they join our scheme, they become sort of relaxed. Productivity will go up because now they are not caring how much they will go, how they will be living in future. So we have those programs, and they are running both on social media, on physical in respective counties, and just the other day we had a pension summit, a pension convention at KICC, where we discussed a lot. And we were glad the same was aired by KBC on social media. Those who followed us had a lot of great things. And like what my colleague has indicated very well, that the social assistance programs that depend on the exchequer are going down because of the economic circumstances. So we need to prepare ourselves. We need to go out
savings.
And even those of us in the public who are listening to us today, they need to pass the message to the youngsters that it is important for them to prepare.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll address something about pension coverage still low at 26%. That is going to happen after this short break. Stay with us.
I could have prepared that. Like now, I should have a plan B. Look at me now. Rules are just like the rest of you.
Useless. You nearly gave me my cordial infarction. Calm down, calm down. And what is my cordial? What is that? Heart attack. What the hell are you up to, woman? Gosh, I look that scary. Naweza sitoa kidogo.
Mwalimu, can I go home? I am not feeling well and my temperature is odd.
A substitute for your Angol Uchoyo, who is laughing now.
Maybe Fala was right, eh? Working as a team saves the day.
This is not a negotiation thing or forum, okay? Bring those papers now!
There's faith in my world. It comes back to your teachings and all your words.
Swala ni jambo ambalo limesisitiziwa kwa sababu Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam aliwahi kusema kuwa amefaidika yule ambaye atatekeleza swala yake hali ya kuwa ana khushu'.
Aswa usarikata alladhi yasriku fi salati, yule muizi ambaye kwamba ni mbaya kushinda wote ni yule ambaye kwamba anaiba katika swala yake. Mtume alipoyasema yale, maswahaba wakashangaa, wakamuuliza wa kaifa yasriku fi salati, vipi mtu anaweza kuiba katika swala yake? Akasema alladhi la yutimu ruku'aha wala sujuda.
Akolo beshimali wala kwa mkono wa kushoto.
Yes, I swear by Allah, I swear.
Ever crazy.
Wewe, hata niongee.
Unasonga
kuliko nilikuja kidogo ndio hii mkasema quick batu. Mtasema ha batu.
Undoubtedly entertaining.
Anguka now, check it. Anguka now.
And mind-boggling.
We are doomed. We are doomed. Members of parliament, we are doomed. I'm telling you.
The savage netizens.
Wacha nilie kwanza.
Capturing that unique moment.
Tunasonga kuliko nduthi.
Three minutes past 9 a.m. We are talking about matters to do with saving for retirement. And before we went on a break, we were talking about mindset. But there's something I want Director to touch on. In the June 2024 RBA industry report, there was an indication that the pension coverage is still low at 26%. Why is this so, and what are you doing to enhance this coverage?
Thank you very much. I think we had mentioned earlier that we are discussing to people. And where are we discussing? One of the matters we are discussing is a change of attitude. You know, we all agree that saving is foreign to majority of us, because the attitude towards saving, people have a feeling that they have less to save. But as we have been discussing, you can start from the little you have as you progress. So we need Kenyans to change their mindset and the attitude towards saving for retirement. The second element is the youngsters. The youngsters, there is this thing they call YOLO. You only live once.
Yes.
It is not very good, because, you know, they say you only live once, but they wake up tomorrow. If that was to be maintained, they were supposed to be past tense yesterday.
Yeah.
So there is a tomorrow and a tomorrow. So we need to prepare for that tomorrow and tomorrow. So the mindset of having you only live once needs to be erased. That mind about your future. Therefore, we need to change our minds and to focus for the future. If really we respect ourselves, then the way we dress in the morning, we also need to dress for the future. And the dressing for the future, we need to save for our being in future. Yes.
Do you think the current economic climate is contributing to this low percentage? And is it also impacting the effectiveness and sustainability of retirement benefit plans?
Thank you. There is, I would take it on twofold. Number one, the current economic situation is not only in Kenya, it is worldwide. It has an impact on our pockets, a negative impact. Yes, but that does not take away our thinking of the future. The little we get, we can take little and save. For example, if you are spending 50,000 or 20,000, if you saved 1,000 out of the 10,000, you see you are doing 10%. So that 10% will grow. So we should not blame the economic situation. Let us save from the little we have. Then on the other side, the impact on pension schemes. Pension schemes, the investments, they already collected and remitted funds are growing because they are being invested. In fact, fund managers are using this time to invest more in assets that are yielding more because of the need that as players in the economy want money. And the fund managers have pension money. So they are taking that opportunity to save and to grow. You know, when there is a problem on one side, and on the other side, somebody else is enjoying.
Yeah.
Just the way you can walk peacefully, you are walking to a place, as you are walking, smiling, you are stepping on some insects down. So in life it is like that, that the economy is performing maybe not very good on one side, but we have people with the funds, pension schemes are investing, and their funds are growing. That's why we are seeing they have grown to the tune of 1.99 trillion. So that is the balance. Yes.
Now, Ratemo, what is the role or obligation of a member of a pension scheme?
Yeah, thank you. Even before I go to that, I wanted to also mention that one thing that we really want to eradicate among the youth is this issue that they want to spend today and forget about tomorrow.
Yes.
You know, some young person, when I told him that you need to save for yourself, he said, what do I save? What do I save?
They lack the rationale.
Fact, and every day, in fact, he's told me every 3 days a week, he has to get like 2 beers, you know, to cool his nerves. And I told him, please, can't you now reduce from 3 days a week to 1, maybe, just cut from 3 days to 2 days.
Yes.
He told me a beer was, on average, low-end areas, around 200 shillings. Can you imagine every week you start saving that 200? You have confidence as a young person, you know, maybe 3 hours a day, 3 hours a week. Reduce that to 2 times or once, you'll find that there's something you need to save. If you are not so hungry, you can even, skip lunch. If you skip lunch, you can save that amount of money. Okay, fine. What are the obligations of a pension scheme member? This is your money, and you say, your heart is where your money is. Yes. So you have to, if you are a member of a scheme, you have to be mindful. You have to, interrogate these books and get to know how your fund managers are investing your money. Mm-hmm. And these reports are always given during the AGM, the annual general meeting. And every scheme, according to the law, they are supposed to invite members to an annual general meeting so that they can, give them the standing, the financial position of the scheme, where the money has been invested. So you have an obligation as a member, and it's your right actually, to attend an AGM so that you can interrogate the books. Number 2, there is what we call a beneficiaries form. As you join a scheme, you are given a form to write who your beneficiaries will be in case you are not there. Because death is unfortunate, but it's a reality. Yeah. So if you are not there, who takes your money? And you see, the law is very clear that monies from a pension scheme, your pension benefits or your retirement benefits, cannot form part of an estate. For example, if somebody is dead, people go to the courts and then they get an administrator. And you see, they can divide the wealth of that person. Pension money is not part of that wealth. So for the pension money, it's according to what you've written in your beneficiaries form. Maybe 50% goes to my wife if you're married, 20% goes to the firstborn, maybe another 20% goes to the secondborn if you have 2 children, and maybe 10% maybe goes to charity, according to what you have indicated. So in case you don't do that, then the trustees who are the legal owners of the scheme, then they get it very rough. They have to do
just to cut you short.
Yes.
A pension scheme is not part of a will.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Our pension benefit is not part of our will. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's according to what you've written in your beneficiaries list or form. Okay? So it is your obligation. For example, a young person like you, when you joined a scheme, you were single, right? And maybe there you wrote your parent, because you have to write.
Yes.
And if it must come to 100%. So maybe you wrote your father, your mother, your sister, or maybe your favorite brother, or even whoever, maybe your cousin. But over time, you got married, you got children. But you've forgotten to go back to your beneficiaries form and change. So in case you die, when we go to your beneficiaries form, we say, okay, 20% is go to the dad. Maybe even the dad is no longer there. The mother, the sister, the brothers. What happens to your wife and children? So every year, please, if possible, just review. Maybe you're married, and then by bad luck, maybe unfortunately you have divorced. But imagine your divorced wife is still a member, a beneficiary.
Yes.
What happens? This beneficiary will come when you're not there and say, it's written. Respect the will. It will take a lot of time, negotiation for the new wife and your children, to get something. So please, one of your obligations as a member of a scheme, update your beneficiaries form. And if you feel any time that you need to change, that's a living document. You can pull it out and revise. The revised one is the current one, and it's one which will be used when you're not there. So that is what I've seen most people tend to forget.
Yeah.
And maybe, remember, even this applies to where your money is. Even if it's a saving, even if it's a SACCO, even if it's an insurance firm, if you have a policy. All these, where your money is, there's always a form you write in case you're not there. Who takes your money? Just think about it.
Yes.
Go, pull out, and update.
Yes.
But for pension scheme, please, you need to do that, because as we have said, according to the law, that money it's not part of the will.
Yes. Yeah.
Another obligation, if you think there's something bad happening in your scheme, maybe the trustees have connived, they have bought a property which is supposed to be maybe 15 million, and then they're saying they bought it at 20 million. Yeah? Then you can whistleblow. You can anonymously report that. We have a whistleblower, portal on our policy, on our website. You can report, so that because you have a supervision department at RBA, then we can come and follow up. Of course, we do due diligence, but then we have to collaborate. So you are our eyes in the schemes. That's why you have to attend the GMs. You have to keep on following up, you know. And if you think that when your benefits are not well calculated, or by the time you exit, you think that your benefits, you know, they have been miscalculated, then you can sound an alarm. Okay. Of course, we are there to ensure that the schemes adhere to the rules. But sometimes, if they don't, then before you catch them, you can catch them and report to us. So don't be indifferent from your scheme. Okay. Be a part and parcel. Follow up. So you have all the rights to know what's happening. If you have a complaint, it's your right to complain. We have a complaints department, you know, a complaints division, which follows up. If you have a complaint, then we follow up with trustees with a scheme, and we ensure that, you know, you get your right.
Yes. Yeah. Director, still along that line, let's say a member of a pension scheme has died. How long does it take for the family members to access those funds, and what is the process?
Thank you. I think my colleague James has brought in a very important element. The first thing a member is supposed to do is to complete the nomination form. That one is a must. It makes the trustees work more easy. If a member passes on, now the beneficiaries will come and make a claim. And the claim will be paid to the beneficiaries. But it's not a straitjacket. The trustees must verify who are the beneficiaries. Now, we have circumstances where some members have nominated their girlfriends as beneficiaries.
Yes.
It has happened. Now you are looking at me surprised. It has happened in some schemes. Under such circumstance, trustees will do the vetting. When they do the vetting, they will, to some extent, because you know a trustee is somebody you've worked together for a very long time. They may know your children, they may know your wife. So where you are bringing in somebody else, they'll need to verify. Once they verify, even if it will involve visiting your rural area to get more details, that they will do. Then it comes now to the payment. When all the verification has been done, the payment will be paid to the rightful beneficiaries. Now, from the time of lodging the complaint to payment, the time limit, payment is supposed to be done within 30 days. Once the documents are verified, everything is in order, the payment needs to be done within 30 days.
30 days.
Yes.
Now, are there cases where a member dies, but the family, maybe in a way, they do not follow up on pension, on the pension of the deceased? Is there a way that RBA reaches out to these families?
Thank you. Now, where a member has passed on and there are no claims, those are very rare circumstances.
Okay.
Because Kenyans are educated that when a member passes on and he was a member of a scheme, then they will follow. But we have circumstances where single persons, where I mean persons, it can be a young man or a lady, they may not have appointed any beneficiary. So in such circumstance, the authority will try to discuss with the employer to see. But the first point of reference, it is the employer, the sponsor, the one my colleague indicated. The sponsor in that is the one who started the scheme. You know, in this country, we have the word sponsor being used to mean different things.
Yes.
But this is the sponsor who started the scheme. I think it will be the first circumstance, it will be the sponsor going around to find out the welfare of the deceased.
Yes.
Because that person will be buried.
Yes.
Now the burial, the sponsor or the employer will take part.
Yes.
And after the burial, that is where the trustees may and try to find out the next of kins from there.
Yes.
So that's how. But where the funds remain with a scheme and they have not been claimed, then they are taken to the unclaimed financial assets authority.
Yes.
Yes. Now there UFA.
Yes.
UFA, as the short form of unclaimed financial asset authority, will now go out and do the connection.
Yes.
That these funds came in from a deceased, and they will try and get the beneficiaries from that. But in schemes, that is very rare.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ratemo, there's the aspect where when people are moving jobs and they would want to access a few funds. Talk about the importance of delaying this gratification, especially when one moves jobs. Yeah.
That's quite dear to my heart because I'm a victim. I'm a culprit of the same.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at my age, this is my fifth employer.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, looking for greener pastures, but now I'm settled, you know.
Yeah.
You know, as you look for greener pastures from one employer to another, and if it happens that you are a member of a scheme, you know, the law in this country allows you that currently you can receive up to 50% of your benefits. That's the law.
Yeah.
Okay. But this law doesn't mean it's not a must. You may, if you need, you can apply and you get this money. However, if I can use myself as an example, you know, I'm a trained journalist, and you know, journalists, they move from one media house to another.
Yes.
So I moved from one media house, and then when I was finalizing, you know, you have to clear with that employer.
Yeah.
When I reach the finance, they tell me, by the way, oh, you have benefits, retirement benefits. You can fill this form. Those days it was 100% of your own benefits and 50% of the employers.
Wow.
Oh, see, it was a lot of money, and as a young man, I was excited. I said, please give me this money.
Yes.
Then I sat down, I said, I'll go buy a plot somewhere, you know. Alafu nipigie mwili pole, you know. Nienda za Mombasa kwa maji ya chumvi.
Yes.
Hii ni pesa yangu, nimefanya kazi. My friend, in fact, if you ask me today, I cannot account for that money.
Things happened.
It was not good. But actually, I didn't need that money because I was moving employment, meaning the following month I still had a salary. Okay? It happened also the second time, but the second time now was a bit wiser. I said this money was meant for my retirement. So I came to discover that the law allows that you can leave your money, stay in that scheme. Nobody will take your money. When you reach retirement, you can go and pick your money. Or you can move your money now to your current scheme. I didn't know that.
Or you can transfer, if for instance you change employers, that money that you're entitled to, you can transfer to another.
The scheme. Because you're not accessing it.
Okay.
So there are three ways. You can defer the money, you can let the money stay there. Number two, you can move your money to your current scheme. Or number three, you can even take the money out to and leave your pension plan. You can imagine sometime now you become a consultant, you are not employed by anyone, but your money is scattered all over. You can collect your money and put it there. And you still continue getting the benefits of tax exemption up to 20,000 per month, you know, as you contribute. And all the money which is earned, the investment return, is not taxed in a scheme. That's according to the law. So imagine if your money is there, if they declare profits of 100 million, it is 100 million to the scheme. There is no 30% tax. That is for the investment return. So when money is in a scheme, it keeps on growing, that compounding impact. So I kept, now, the past 3 employers, my money has been intact. In fact, now
you learned your lesson.
Yeah. So this is what I want to tell everyone who is moving employment, because it happens. It happens. Unless you get a very good employer, you are paid well, you are settled, maybe you have no ambition, then you can stay with one employer for long. But the way I know young people, especially the Gen Zs, you know, they'll keep on moving. So what we do, what they advise to anyone who is moving employment and you have saved for retirement, please don't touch that money. I listened to one of my friends called Sandeep. He was giving an analogy that if you are moving, you are going on a long journey, you have filled your tank, your fuel tank. And then every station, when you pause, you go and take some fuel from the tank. You know, eventually you may not reach the destination because you have been taking fuel from the tank. It's the same thing. As you move towards the retirement, you need to keep on filling the tank. In fact, as it goes down, keep on filling, so that by the time you reach the destination, you have enough to take you to a further destination. So please, especially if you are moving employment, meaning you have a salary the next month, you don't need that money. However, maybe if you have lost your job, okay, and you have nothing, you want to start a business, maybe you can take that 50% to establish yourself before you come back to your feet. That's what I saw happen during COVID. Those who are members of schemes, that percent, that 50%, because currently the law allows you to take up to 50%. They took that 50%, or you can even take less, for them to reestablish themselves and continue. Immediately you are back on your feet economically or financially. Please ensure that you save even more, you know, to fill up what you depleted. So I wish I knew. In fact, I could even have retired by now because my money could be so much. But because nilichukua kila kitu, now I look at the amount which is there, I say I have to work harder. So this is what we call delayed gratification. Of course, the law allows you can access, but this early access is what is making people not have adequate. So even if time for retirement has come, they want to work more because they ask themselves, if I retire today, what this money I have will not be sufficient for me. So you find old people, you know, sick people trying to work every day, you know, until maybe they die. Some people die, work until they die. The people you see, I will say, I'm very happy, you know, retired but not tired, they're enjoying their monies. They saved more and they didn't, you know, access early. So access when it is darling necessary. But if not, please let that money be. Don't be a culprit like me. And the way you are laughing, maybe you are.
Let's take a short break. We'll continue this conversation in a short while. Don't go too far.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
As the 2024 Paralympic Games continue, Team Kenya has represented the country with a contingent of 14 para-athletes and 7 guides, featuring in 5 disciplines: athletics, cycling, taekwondo, rowing, and powerlifting, battling for glory with the world's best. Catch the daily highlights on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Nakuuliza, wewe, wakati ulikucha hapo, ulipata ni nani amekongwa?
Wewe, ukisema nilipeni niende.
Na sasa nikikongwa, pilipili ambaye inayokuchoma inakuhusu nani? Hiyo parapara wewe uko unaiona vizuri, na ndio sababu uko na macho ine, na ndio ukatoka kwa kando kunikonga, na nilikuwa kwa pedestrian.
Makosa ulifanya ni kujigongeza kwa futi mblinji. Ati kwa sababu umeona jamani masini alafu iko spindi, ukajigongeza na unajuanga tu jamani masini vile siko. Wewe ni mjinga wa wapi? Si ungeenda mahali kuko express.
Sasa mimi na wewe nani mjinga?
Ni wewe.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya, and the conversation around retirement benefits and why you should save for your future continues. Now, Director, I want you to talk about more on the strategic plan that is 2024 to 2029. What can Kenyans expect from that strategic plan?
Thank you very much. I think the current strategic plan, the one that is running from 2024 to 2029, we have three key results areas. The first one is efficient and effective service delivery. So what Kenyans are expecting from us, they will be accessible to the services we are rendering. The second key result area is sound and responsive regulatory framework. That is very important to ensure that the schemes are run well, they're effective and efficient in the so that they can take care of the welfare of the members. And the last key result area is the inclusive and sustainable retirement benefits sector. This is where now we are now going to do more of promotion to reach the ones who have not been covered. We are going to do more of partnership, just the way we are doing with the KBC now, to reach more Kenyans so that they can save for retirement. When we do that, we shall achieve our objectives. Yes.
Will that include sessions of maybe financial literacy forums?
Yes. And under that, the financial literacy forums are under the consumer protection, where we are going to do more on the planning element.
Yes.
For example, we are going to ensure compliance with the regulatory framework, that the members who are already covered in the schemes, their rights and obligations are respected. Secondly, we need members to save early for their medical in retirement. We've new products in the market where we are going to promote more of the post-retirement medical funds, where now members like me and my colleagues, even you need to start saving as you are working for your future.
Yes.
So that we are going to do more. As you save, you are also saving the money you are going to eat. At the same time, you are going to save for your medical. You know, in retirement, there are key three things that are important. Liquidity, which the strategic plan deals with very much in retirement. Then you are going to have issues of health. Now the one we are talking about, post-retirement medical. And the other key element is the issue of social fabrics. So that is that we are going to do that, and of course not forgetting the sustainability of the retirement benefits. The plan that was launched has very many things. So those three key result areas have objectives and expected outcomes. Yes.
And that strategic plan can be accessed on the RBA website?
Yes, this plan is on the on the RBA website. Accompanied to it, we on last week, on Thursday, 29th, we launched the National Retirement Benefits Policy, which now, as our mandate, we are supposed to implement. This policy is very good.
What's contained in it?
Some of the elements that are contained in the policy are matters of coordination and harmonization of existing regulatory framework for their sector. The other element is the coverage. No, this coverage we've been talking about. It's now talking about enhancing the coverage to the 34. Now, how do we reach the 34? Again, the policy is giving a roadmap on how to reach there. The other element in the policy is the good governance and the sustainability of retirement benefits schemes. You remember you asked me a question relating to that.
Yes.
The fourth element in the policy is the portability of benefits. Again, is giving a policy direction on what needs to be done. The portability of benefits from both from one scheme to the other and also across border. As you are aware, we have very many Kenyans working outside, so they are going to benefit using this. The fifth element in it is we are going to promote and facilitate innovation in the retirement benefit sector. That innovation, it will make it cost effective and accessibility to the benefits that are paid. You know, nowadays, you've seen as a bit of innovation, even people in the schemes are receiving their benefits on M-Pesa. Some years back, they were to walk to a bank somewhere. Then the sixth attribute is adequacy of benefits. We've been talking about adequacy. Now, adequacy has been given we have a policy directive on that. Then the payout phases, post-retirement medical. Another new thing that the policy has brought on board is an establishment of a housing sub-fund. You know, in the developed world, we have old age homes. Those old age homes are concentrated in certain areas. In this country, if you talk about old age homes, people start thinking they are going to be thrown to somewhere. But we now want retirement benefit schemes to come up with a sub-fund where on retirement you can choose where you want to go and settle. And this will be a very good thing, that we can have an estate that is only having retirees, pensioners. When you have such arrangement, it will be very good for accessibility of the benefits associated to Medicare. When medical professionals go to that, they will be attending to all of them at the same place. We shall have a advantage in that even those pensioners would have games among themselves. Because social fabrics are breaking. Youngsters are leaving their parents in the rural areas, and you know, when you are old, people don't pay attention to you. And if you are not, attention is not given to you, especially like the two of you, James, and you, Mr. Migwe, you are in the media. You are always in the limelight. When you go to the village and you are just in your homestead, if you visit somebody who doesn't have time for you, then you get stressed. We don't want that. Now, with the housing fund, you can go and settle where other pensioners are. Whether you can play those small games you used to play, you can do things together there. You know, if you visit an old age home, you will see those guys have their games. They have football, they have chess, to suit them. Some of them go skipping. The ladies, the rope, the ladies were jumping. They are jumping at their pace, and the men seated playing those games like Jua. Well, of course, I don't know how to play it, those games. So we need to make for them a very good place.
So it's a matter of making sure that you are in your retirement age.
Yes. Life
continues normally without interruptions.
Normally without interaction.
Yes.
And I think with this strategic plan 2024-2029, it has a bright future for the retirement benefit sector, accompanied by the policy, the National Retirement Benefits Policy.
Yes.
And by the way, in the continent, we are the only republic. So Kenya is the first republic to own a national retirement benefits policy. In Africa. We are the first one.
Yes.
And this has made us, we've received very many visitors to come and see what we have done. And this policy was developed under the National Treasury. Of course, RBA played the secretariat role. And we, secretariat role, you are coordinating, you are bringing together. So with the partnership we are having with several others, we shall ensure the two documents, strategic documents, are well implemented.
Yes.
And when they are fully implemented, we shall, of course, have our dignified retirement benefits for Kenyan workers.
Yes. Ratemo, let me come to you. And there's something about, there are people who get very good money. I'm talking about, say, millions in a very short time. Case in point, like athletes. Is there an option for them to save in a retirement plan in bulk? So I would like you to talk about that.
Okay. That's very, very good. Allow me to start with an anecdote, a small story.
Oh, please.
There were these ants.
Yes.
It was sun time, It was sunny. It was hot, warm, and cool.
Yeah.
It was not rainy. And there was a grasshopper playing around, It was sunny, it was playing around, and then it saw the ants carrying, pieces of grain. Bigger than even their heads.
Yes.
Then the grasshopper was asking, you guys, there's a lot of food around here. Why are you carrying food to your holes? Come and let us play. There's a lot of food.
Yeah.
And the ant said, no, Mr. Grasshopper, my friend. Don't think this food will last forever.
Yes.
We are going to store our food for a rainy day. The grasshopper, brushes them off, continues to play. Then rain came. And then now the grasshopper was so cold. There was no food. All of a sudden, there was no food. Then he went to the ants. The stores for the ants was full of food. They were sitting there now saying, hey, Mr. Grasshopper, now let us relax. See, I have no food. They say, this food is for us and our children.
Yes.
My friend, go and look for your food. Grasshopper went there, around, Yeah? So there was sun time and there is a rainy season. Every person has got their sun time, sunshine time, and a rainy day.
Yes.
What you call a sunrise and a sunset.
Yeah.
So when there's enough food, that is your, sunrise.
Yeah.
So when you have your time to earn money, that's your sunrise. It is your sun time, you can get enough food. For athletes, maybe their sunrise is very short. Because maybe within 5 years, we'll have other Manyalas coming up, we have other Rudishas.
Yes.
Rudisha. You remember Rudisha?
Yes.
Now Rudisha Bwana is retired somehow. He's hung his boots,
Yes.
Kaka, we have Nango Kano for those of those days. Yeah. Now we have these footballers that can wanatajika pale juu. All those, within 5 years, you will not hear them. New names will have come up. But this is their time. They are making a lot of money. What happens when now they stop making that money? Them, in Kenya, if you have like 5 million, okay, which you can spare, you can save it in a scheme. Provided we determine the source of that money. Of course, to avoid money laundering. If you take money to a scheme, even if it's 5 million, 10 million, it can be accepted, provided you say where it comes from. And you see that money is invested like any other money. So that by the time you stop earning, then you'll have saved. But for yours is a short time, okay? But for the other people who are getting small money, small bits of money for a long time, save little, you also get the same benefits. So you can save 1,000 for 20 years. You'll be equal to a person maybe who saves within 5 years, maybe 100 million, because that is their, sunrise time. So if you have a lot of money and you've maybe done deals, you're a consultant, you get a lot of money, save according to the amount you get. So that we don't find an athlete who was, who was top there. And then we start seeing stories from the media from grass to grass. It really, it breaks our hearts.
Yeah.
So anyone, as much as you're making money, yes, invest in cars, invest in houses, invest in education, invest in other people, but also invest in yourself.
Yes.
Put aside some money. If you know that you will get this money within a short time, then save more within that short time. So no athlete, no high profile, a prolific maybe footballer. These artists, they are up in the charts, but after some time they go down. During that time, they were making a lot of money, but they save. But they members of a scheme. That's why we came up with individual pension plans. Now we are even working with these federations so that they can even start a scheme for athletes, a scheme for footballers, a scheme for artists. We even have a scheme for lawyers because they are unique. They can contribute as a team and invest.
Right.
So no one should, retire into poverty.
Okay.
Yet you had your sometime.
All right. Yes. Director, if you're talking about demographics, anyone above the age of 18 can start saving for their retirement?
Thank you. I think anybody with an ID can start for saving for retirement. From age, in Kenya it is age 18. If you can open an account, you start.
Even talking about this, those in the universities.
Very much. I think in our programs for coverage, we have those strategic partnerships with the respective institutions. We even partnered with the KCID to develop the curricula so that the issue of saving for retirement starts from junior primary school. And we have also those education programs with the several federations my colleague has talked about, so that we enhance saving. And as we talk to children, let them start that element of saving for retirement. As a parent, you can even start saving for your kid. You remember one of our banks had those small boxes to be throwing in coins for our children.
Piggy banks.
Yes, those ones. I think we can start once they hit 18. They will have saved. In fact, a very interesting thing happened to me personally. I used to give money to one of my kids, pocket money, as they were going to school. After Form 4, this kid came home telling me, Daddy, I have saved over 80,000. You see?
Wow.
80,000. Now, my advice was that you keep that money, continue saving. Of course, they are over 18. I can't ask how much do you have. So it is the secret. So let's put that kind of mindset in our children to start saving. The age is not the limit.
All right. Thank you so much for making time to come on KBC and talk about these matters. They're very important, actually. And I hope you at home has learned a thing or two about saving for the future. This is where we cap this conversation and the entire Good Morning Kenya program. Thank you for watching. My name is Mike Migwe. Meet same time tomorrow for Entertainment Thursday. Good morning.
Contemporary African photography through the lens of Zimbabwean-born, South African-based photographer Tatenda Chedora is a visual exploration of what it means to be African and Black today.
Some say I'm a fashion photographer, fine art photographer, commercial photographer, but I'm a visual storyteller. I love telling stories through photographs. We paint through light, and that's what basically photography is.